Constantine in the sky, we're taking upon our own allies. For all of the rules we abide by, for us to say our final goodbyes. We are the kingdom in the air, 'cause all of the tones we have declared. The minds of the leaders are elsewhere. I ask you, does this sound unfair? Raise a storm and go where we have never gone before. We have sworn to mend the bond that we have torn. Raise a storm and go where we have never been before. We have sworn to mend. We are the people of the clouds, have done all we have been in doubt. So join us, we all stand and shout, an ancient grace we are and proud. So fill the glasses to the brink, a heavy hand so you must think. But all have found the missing link, our fate is written in ink. Raise a storm and go where we have never gone before. We have sworn to mend the bond that we have torn. Raise a storm and go where we have never been before. We have sworn to
Let I just can't let this go. Every last chance I had is gone, but I just can't let you but I just
especially as a DD. They're going to man mode it. Look at how much. Oh, actually, they can cancel the Legion Commanders over one else. Dodo that gets the hook shot onto Donnie as well. Is it enough damage though? The Sonic Sword comes out, they burst down the chin. Debbie gets up the big Requiem now as well.
Then what happened was, as we started sieging, they obviously TP'd back because we would have taken their racks a lot quicker than they would have, so they were forced to react to us. And then the plan was to slow siege, and then obviously you see the Sand King went in and initiated, and then we were all forced into a fight, which they ended up winning.
This is the important tower to get. Top tower's gonna fall. Oh, actually, looks like they want to defend. Nice two-man hook shot from Dora and Die. Gets the cogs now as well. TKC Dodo comes in. Followed up by Sonic Wave as well. Deppy, he's ticking down low. Epicenter on the ready now. Can he do damage? Santo starting to tick down now as well.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and yep, that's it. I have taken Hellbird's spot and bumped Jubba over here, just one step over. How you doing?
Well, the only reason why you're taking a Hellbird spot is because you're attempting to grow the the red
I'm
beard.
going to get there one day. I mean, you've got to start somewhere, right?
Well, I mean, if the potential of what's on the back of your head comes to the front of your face, we are potentially going to be there.
Well, enough talk of my beard, and let's actually have a chat about the upcoming game, TTT versus DO4B. And we just watched TTT take a damn good victory, very clean victory, 2-0 up over Dota and Die's team.
Rhymes with Depot.
Yes, rhymes with Depot.
It is a rather good tongue twister. It really keeps us on our toes. So yes, I had the privilege of casting that with Hellbird, and it was a really interesting game. We spoke about the drafts, spoke about the plays, positioning. Unfortunately, some of the positioning from the Enigma in the last game just didn't work out for them, and it put Triple T in the position to take the win. So they're going to be moving on into the next game to play against DO 4B, and they are quite a competitive team. If I do recall, when I was here last year, they actually did come second and was able to get some hands on some prizes. So I wouldn't say let's count this team out, especially from what we saw in the previous game. But it could be a really interesting game. And what's really nice is when you see teams like this, it is so unexpected on the heroes that they're going to bring to the forefront. It may not be meta, but we're going to definitely see maybe like one or two like comfort picks.
Well, here's the question. I mean, we were watching that TTT game, obviously. You were casting it. But I'm pretty damn sure that the boys from DO4B are also reeling from the experience of TTT taking down Dota and Die and his crew. What, if any, lessons can DO4B take into this match, as they're going to be going up against TTT now?
I suppose just try and get the heroes that they feel comfortable. Don't play around what...
So you felt that TTT won it on draft then?
That last pick on the last game, when they picked up the Queen of Pain up against the TA mid, I felt that it was like a little bit of a sucker. We felt like it was a little bit of a sucker punch, because you pick up the TA and you think, okay, well, easy win against the Leshrac. Leshrac doesn't do really well against the TA. Not enough instances in a short amount of time. So the Queen of Pain does really well against the TA. So stick to a kind of draft. Don't be one of those reactive teams. They see something and then they react to it. Rather have a strategy planned out and just execute that strategy. And I feel that they'll stand a better chance of actually successfully planning their draft, as opposed to just react it. You see a Storm Spirit, so you pick up an AM. No. Select your draft. Pick up those heroes that you feel comfortable on and then play that.
All right. Well, any key players we should be keeping a particular eye on from DO4B? I mean, we have, for example, Big Fudge, who featured in the exhibition game last night.
Well,
against you.
Let's move on from last night's
We are, in fact, ready to move on, as the game is ready to rock and roll. They're just going to start sorting out the last little bits.
Well, in the meantime, while Wilson...
while they're just sorting out their technicals.
The person to watch on DO4B side is I've got to actually say Big Fudge, and the reason why is it's because it's KGL.bigfudge.do4j. Now I don't know if you know what DO4j is.
It's DO4B.
But no, that's a team's name. But then our good man over here, Big Fudge DO4j, is D out for Jabba, and that is for me. So I'm going to be specifically looking at my Padawan to see if he can achieve what needs to be achieved, and maybe they have enough to get done what they need to.
Have you been coaching Big Fudge? This is going to be a biased cast.
Well, I'm. You know, you got fans everywhere.
It's a good thing you guys got me. I'll keep them in check.
You keep me honest. So it's like a little bit of repertoire. What is wrong with
you?
So it was that good burger that we ate outside. So I mean, I don't know if any of you are watching around Bloom or if you're in the area, but come pop around, come say hi, come see what's in the venue, and then go grab a burger outside, because they are damn good.
Yeah, definitely worth it. And of course, I mean, we've been raving on about this behind the scenes without actually bringing it to the camera, but I think it's a good time to bring it to the camera as they just sort out their final.
I think it's actually to press start game.
Yeah, is the passion. The passion that we see in the players here today. And if you haven't seen it, guys, do come on down. It is well worth the trip, I guarantee you that. So without any further ado, it's time to kick off this match and find ourselves a server. It's going to be a good one. So any predictions in terms of draft?
We're going to see some banned outs, I feel. We're going to see the Underlord being banned out. I feel we're going to have the Pangelier banned out. Well, there we go. Pangelier being banned out from It Takes a...
So that's a respect ban. That's a respect ban.
I think it's just more than what's been played in the meta. I don't think teams know each other well enough to actually like kind of counter. While we do see Team KGL, or rather DO4B, banning out the Lesh. Obviously, they saw what Triple T did in the previous game, not wanting to deal with the Lesh. It was played really well by both Sly and Fearbender. So they kind of relied on the Lesh in both drafts. It appeared twice. So rather just taking that out of the pool and not having to deal with it, it kind of just opens up a little bit more for their options.
Let's take a look at all those bans from It Takes Tree to Tango. It's very, very interesting indeed, because Pangolier and the Tusk, they perform a very similar role. They get in there, they get up in your grill, and they absolutely whack out a lot of damage. That Dark Willow as well, also fulfilling that kind of role. So it's clear that the side of Takes Tree to Tango trying to take care of that problem. But obviously you can't ban out every single option that performs that particular role. So what is still open for the side of DO4B?
Well, they've taken away those heroes that get on top of you, that close that gap. So you've got a couple of heroes that you can always choose from. I do like the Rubik quite a lot. I mean, it gives you quite a bit of versatility, a lot of control in team fights. Also gets the rotations on and can actually be a very useful ganker. Where that's what you wouldn't probably use the Pangolier as the ganker. You'd probably put him in the off lane, try and farm up what he can, and he just becomes a little bit of a disruption during team fights. So achieving the same thing in terms of disruption with the fear coming out from the Dark Willow as well. Triple T just wants to have a straight up fight coming at you and not having to deal with any sort of break in team fight.
Well, let's see if DO4B come up with an answer to that. I'm sure there's a couple of heroes left in the pool that may still perform that that purpose, not least of which is Naga, who's famous for busting up a team fight with a song or two. But nonetheless, Kunkka joins the field for TTT, and it's followed immediately by the Mirana from the side of DO4B. Mirana, very interesting choice here. Obviously, leading with the Mirana, it's lovely because it leaves you with an open hand. It's followed up with a Vengeful Spirit, so you've already got a lot of range going. This could even be a Drow strat starting to form up as the Witch Doctor's picked up by TTT here as well. I don't know, picking up a Mirana early, it leaves your hand very, very open. You're not saying it's a core, you're not saying it's a support, you're not saying much of anything by picking a Mirana first.
You'd want to play the Mirana in the 3 or 4 position, either off lane or in the more preferred role of Aroma. So they do achieve what the Tusk, the Dark Willow, and pretty much the Pangolier want to try and do. Get on top of the hero, get close to the heroes, and just kind of roam. Yeah, you want to be able to close that gap. So probably be played in the position 4. Position 3, we'll probably see what goes up. Vengeful Spirit, potential. We've seen a couple of teams in the past regarding the new meta. It's unclear yet what position they want to play the Vengeful. Probably going to just be that position 3. You see, it becomes very difficult now because you've got the Vengeful Spirit, which you want to try and get a couple of items on. She becomes a little bit more useful. Should she get the Solar Crest, should she get the Force Staff, Glimmer Cape, and whatever it is.
This is another hero that can serve multiple purposes, multiple roles.
Yes,
she's a great support, but she can also transition into that carry role as well. So not a lot said here, not a lot put out onto the map for the side of DO4B. Maybe the tricks really are in the bans here. You've got an Uberlord and the Phantom Lancer. I suspect Phantom Lancer because they were watching the previous match.
Yeah.
And they know that there's a Phantom Lancer spammer somewhere on that team on the side of Takes Tree to Tango. Whilst on the other side, the bans ended up being a Juggernaut and a Lifestealer. So they're just worried about the side of TTT. They're just worried about those hard-hitting and relatively evasive carries. So Juggernaut and Lifestealer, what do they have in common? Is that magic community that's built into them.
Yeah. So they're looking for someone that they're not going to be able to pick up at the side of DO4B. Is not going to be able to pick up and actually negate a lot of the magic damage that Triple T wants to.
Are there any options left open for DO4B here?
Well, you'd now want to pick up a natural BKB carrier, someone that can pretty much stand toe-to-toe against the side of...
well, not yet, since the axe. Yeah.
But the axe does come out, so it's going to be... It's going to be a really tough one, I would imagine, because Axe wants to get up in your face, wants to get up in your grill, and make those team fights happen. They do find the Monkey King. So just prior to the Monkey King coming out, I'm thinking, the Kunkka pickup, I like it in the first pick. The reason being is because it kind of doesn't reveal whether it's a core Kunkka or if it's a support Kunkka. It just says we're going to pick up a Cook. So what happens is now you pick up a core Kunkka and he hits so hard. He'll pretty much decimate the Mirana and the Vengeful Spirit should he get ahead and get those big crucial items up. And it will make it very difficult to push into the Tidebringer from the Kunkka. But now with the Monkey King being picked up, it now changes the game just a tad, because you want to get the farm up onto the Monkey King. You want to be able to get him involved into team fights, and to start playing around the Wukong's command. So X jumps in, and he's just pretty much going to stand stagnant of where he is. They throw the Wukong's command down, and then he's just going to go to work. They tie it up with the Troll Warlord, so now you've got the ult from the Troll Warlord just allowing a little bit of a lot more faster hitting.
Well, the other possibility here, of course, is that with an axe, it opens up the possibility for a sucker punch to be delivered on the last pick for the side of DO4B. We'll see if that's what they go for. Troll Warlord, very interesting pick, obviously maximizing the attack speed of his comrades with his ultimate, the Battle Rage. And the Beastmaster from It Takes Tree to Tango is very, very interesting indeed, as it keeps it keeps people on their toes. There's always that extra little bit of vision that they can pick up.
It becomes a vision war, really. I mean, we saw in the previous game.
And in a vision war, there's no Night Stalker banned out. There's no Keeper of the Light banned out as of yet. So there could still be quite a lot coming out here. Maybe not for the side of DO4B, because now with an axe and a Troll Warlord, that Mirana, it's very likely that she will have to call. And if she does, she's a relatively squishy call. She hits hard, but she's relatively squish.
I'm not convinced they're going to actually run the Mirana as a core. I think they're going to stick the X in the off lane.
Okay.
They're going to have the Mirana roam, and they're going to have the Troll Warlord, Vengeful Spirit, and potentially their mid to be picked up here for the sides of DO4B. So it's going to be pretty much a dual lane with Mirana sticking around around the bot, and the Axe sitting in the off lane, maybe cutting the lane a little bit. Maybe the Mirana will spend a little bit of time in the off lane with the Axe. But we'll see what happens. They do manage to tie up the draft here for triple T.
Triple T. You are really struggling.
My gosh. Those burgers were really, really good. Sorry, I'm going back to the burgers thing. But the draft runs up kind of solidifies of what is happening here. They're gonna probably essentially, the way that I see it being panned out, they're gonna stick the Kunkka in the mid lane. They're gonna put the Monkey King, the Witch Doctor, and the Sand King in the safe lane, and the Beastmaster in the off lane, potentially with the Sand King helping out every now and then. But the Witch Doctor primarily going to be supporting that Monkey King. For the side of DO4B, they're looking for their mid, so they're going to probably need something that can go up against the Kunkka, something that can actually deal with him. Obviously, the heroes that have a mobility like a Storm or a Quap
Wouldn't
will
you like
probably
something
get negated, I think, because of the X.
Wouldn't you like something with a little bit of team fight? It seems like TTT has also worried about that in the ban of the Outworld Devourer. Could go mid and has a heavy team fight element. You have an axe to set everything up. The question is, what are you going to do with that setup? At the moment, they can't really follow it up with all that much, unless there's a nice option. So there's a lot of nice options here for some cleave damage, both in the form of the Ember and of course the Troll.
Well, I do like the Ember pickup. With the Slider Fist kind of negate a little bit of damage coming out from the Kunkka. The Sand King as well as the Remnants also give him a decent amount of escape. If he throws at a Remnant, X marks the spot, gets pulled back, he can then always just Remnant to the closest elemental that is cast down. So it's a decent rounded draft for the side of DO4B. Triple T, they've got a lot of team fight. They've got a lot of things to deal with DO4B.
So
has to throw at them.
My concern with the draft from DO4B is they have one frontliner in the form of the Axe. They have one really tanky guy who wants to be in their faces, get right up in there, and basically bugger up the fight. But the problem is this: they've got very high mobility heroes on the side of TTT. In the form of both the Monkey King, who hits very hard, and of course Sly, who's now picked up his Sand King and can burrow strike to the back lines and decimate the supports before they get the chance to do much of anything. But without any further ado, let's get straight into it for you. On the Radiant side, Phoenix will be taking up that Beastmaster headed towards the top lane. In the mid lane, Fearbender will be taking his Kunkka and bending the fear of his foes in mid. Young Kid One Fu will be taking up his Witch Doctor. Looking forward to a great performance from him. Sly on his Sand King is going to be creating a lot of chaos. And last but certainly not least for this fantastic team, it's going to be Nubby on his Monkey King.
And for the side of the Dire, it's going to be Hinato Shono Shoyo.
Shoyo.
Going to be playing on the Marana in the green Kiwi. Going to be played by the Axe. Mid lane is going to be Big Fudge on the Ember Spirit. And last but not least, it's going to be this...
not last, surely.
No. Last but not least, the duo
Oh,
carry
there
and
you
support in the top lane will be Niovest on the Troll and the Vengeful Spirit on Feels Bad Man.
Feels bad, man. Right.
Feels,
so what do you think?
that's what I should say to you. Feels bad, man.
Feels bad, man. Fair enough. It looks like they might be opting to maybe take a bite out of the bounty runes yet again. We'll see if that is the case. As Kiwi edged away by the Witch Doctor. This might be a bait. Nope. Arrow doesn't quite land. Sly not too far away. He's going to start getting a few right clicks in onto the Mirana, but that's a very well secured bounty rune for the side at ETT.
And that is pretty much 3 bounty runes going for the side of TTT.
Yeah, it's
Solid
again, they've got a
start.
solid start. They always have a solid starting strategy. One asks oneself just how much gold does that actually mean in the long run? And is it that significant? Is it
Just
that
under
important?
1k. Just under 1k gold in the slight advantage for the Radiant. So yes, I believe the advantage comes in with your support. When you start having to get that vision up, and you have to start getting those small support items. It makes a little bit of a difference for the support heroes.
Yeah.
Just to make that those kind of small purchases.
Arrow comes out in the bottom lane. A nice little battle hunger will slow down the Witch Doctor's escape as he tries to get on out of there. Sly is not too far away, and I think that is it. Maybe the last few ticks of damage from battle hunger will finish off Witch Doctor. It won't. And no heal required here on the part of the Witch Doctor either. Just managing to get out of there, but very definitely a dangerous lane here.
Well, regarding that, it's a 2v3 lane. I think the side of DO4B is doing a relatively decent job. The arrow does come out, only catches on the creep in the back line. So, suppose going for those cheeky shots, and if he misses, he's still got some newts that he can actually catch.
Out comes one coconut. It's good as a follow-up to the Burrow Strike from Sly. It's not going to be enough to really take down Axe or buy the 4 hits from Nubby that he was looking for to maximize the damage from Jingu Mastery. But it certainly gives Kiwi something else to think about. At least until he gets his level 2, he does have to be very, very careful. Out comes the Battle Hunger yet again onto Sly. Sly needs to start worrying. There's the stun. It lands nicely onto Sly. But it's not quite enough to kill him just yet. Maybe the tick damage will finish him off. Nope. Too low a level.
Well, a very interesting build ability order coming out from the Axe. Opting to go for the Battle Hunger first.
It's strong. It's so strong. I've played against it, and it's absolutely devastating to support because you don't want to end up having to take a last hit from your carry. But unfortunately, that's the only way to turn off the Battle Hunger from you if you are looking to avoid that damage. You're already relatively squishy as a support. Let's put yourself in the shoes of the Witch Doctor, for example. And now you have to deal with this Battle Hunger that is giving you impetus to do something you don't want to do in lane. You want to leave those last hits for your carry.
You can always go for the deny option, but maybe just going this build from the Axe may actually force the Witch Doctor to actually upgrade or level up his Voodoo Restoration. So it's going to maybe take a point away from Melodict.
Out comes Coconut, but it's well timed because Nubby does have the Jingu Mastery. Out comes the stun. It's not going to be enough to finish off Kiwi. He's very tank indeed and does just manage to get out of there. Counter coming out from the Mirana. The stun is good, and there's your first blood. Mirana securing it with the second arrow she had to throw out here today. And the Arcane Rune obviously helping out with the cooldowns as well. So a spot of good news for the boys from the dark side of the map. But still a long way to go in this game at 3 minutes in.
Well, it's super interesting. Seems like it's a little bit of a stalemate here in the mid lane. Fearbender actually opting to put 2 points into Tidebringer. Really wants to get his farm on. Not looking to actually do any rotations or just get stuff done. He just wants to farm. He's got just one in the Torrent, 1 in the X, and then 2 into Tidebringer. So we can expect Fearbender to start going for that scary Shadow Blade into Daedalus build.
Out comes the stun bottom. It's going to land onto Kiwi. Out comes a counter stun from Miran in the form of the arrow. It's not going to be enough to really kill anything, but I think at this point they're just trying to keep Kiwi alive under the influence of Maledict as well. I'm not sure he has enough to survive it. He does barely for that last tick of damage, and it still remains at 1-0 at 4 minutes in. Close, but not close enough. Phoenix in the meantime having a whale of a time in top lane. So in terms of the battle of the off lanes, it's definitely looking the way of TTT. as Phoenix is absolutely having a blast here. Great net worth, and it looks like, oh dear, what happened there?
Mr. Fearbender got absolutely lucky. The Vengeful Spirit rocked up, trying to get a gank, and then unfortunately it did make some big plays happen. Even Big Fudge on the Ember Spirit had to actually limp himself back to base. So the Tidebringer starting to pay off.
Yeah. And obviously the boat now up and online for the Kunkka means he's probably going to be looking to gank around the map. The haste rune on this Mirana not really going to translate into much of anything, but I must say that this Mirana has been doing a great job of controlling the runes and assisting mid in that fashion rather than directly ganking against the enemy. Phoenix in the meantime chasing Nyovest. Is it going to be enough? Out come the whirling axes, and he's trying to make it out. Oh, that mischance! Phoenix unlucky on the last hit there. Didn't quite manage to get that final strike to finish off the Troll Warlord. Very close indeed, but it's not good news if you're supporting the side of the Dire at the moment, the side of DO4B.
That is going to be a really tough lane, and even while that fight was happening at top, there was a bit of a tussle in the mid lane where Fearbender almost got the kill onto Big Fudge. But here we go, boat comes out, Torrent as well.
Oh, all the bindings in the world aren't going to save him from that fate, and that is the terror of going up against a Kunkka in the mid lane. He gets those levels really fast, and that boat comes out very soon in the game. We're sitting at the 5 minutes 30 mark, and he's already starting to land boats left, right, and center. Very, very hard situation for any hero to really lane against here in the mid lane.
So I feel things are only going to turn around really for DO4B is as soon as the Axe gets enough farm to actually pick up the blink. Up until that point, I think they're going to be a little bit on the back foot most of the time.
He's not farming though. I mean,
but that's what the problem becomes.
He literally has
you
no
waiting
last
for
hits.
that. You waiting for that blink on the Axe. I think that is that point where you can say, right, we are ready to fight. At that point in time.
Oh dear, jumping in, nice little arrow as well to follow up a little bit more damage. That's enough to secure the kill onto the Witch Doctor, and that's yet another pick-off. So they're making kills, but if they want that blink dagger on Kiwi, he needs to start getting some last hits towards the mid lane though. What a beautiful fight there. A nice combination did come out, and Slide did TP on in from the bottom lane. We did check that out, as Fearbender secures himself another 2 kills here in the mid lane. This man is the guy we're going to have to keep our eyes very well peeled on. A lot hinges on him here, and the side of DO4B need to do something about this Kunkka.
Well, they actually need the Axe to pick up that blink, pick up the blade mail, to potentially do something. But yeah, Kiwi's going to run under the tower now.
He's going to catch more trouble than anything else. He's going to get stunned to hell and back, and he's immediately punished for thinking he has the chops to take down that Monkey King, who does eventually go down in the end. No chasing was required. What a shame. He just ended up just feeding it away. Out come the whirling axes towards the top lane, and Big Fudge, having just TP'd in, is already on 200 HP.
This is a really tough position here for the side of DO4B. I mean, the Ember having to... Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. This man has to be careful. He cannot show his face here in this lane. He literally just TP'd here moments ago. Now with 50 HP on the clock, a single more wild axes will be able to secure the kill there. In the meantime, oh dear, old Fearbender manages to take the kill off the Troll. They tried swapping up the lanes to figure this thing out, but it's going absolutely pear-shaped as the axe is going to go down as well. He was looking for a deny on the creeps and just couldn't get close enough, fast enough. And the damage from the side here of the Radiant is absolutely phenomenal.
Well, I mean, it's not there's so many kills happening around the map. It doesn't even give me a chance to share my insight and fortitude with you, so... It's well,
you've got a moment now. Don't waste it on that.
No, but stop pointing it out, Wilson. So something I wanted to point out is the Ember Spirit's come top. He's level 5 versus a level 8 Beastmaster, a level 4 Vengeful Spirit. Phoenix absolutely loving this lane. Can't bring him down, and potentially going to put them under a huge amount of pressure here.
Troll survives the first barrage of damage there from Fearbender and Sly, but it does force him way back with 322 HP left on the clock. And this tower slowly but surely failing down. Out comes the Torrent. Almost nails him. And, I mean, with the double damage, Kunkka, you cannot get even close to the creep wave. Oh no, out comes the X. There's the boat. And I think that is the end of our little troll. Oh, except there's one mischance, two mischances, three. He manages to get on out of there. Oh my word! Not for long though. There's the torrent. There's another one. Another miss. Another miss. Could you believe it? Another X. How many times is he gonna have to do this? And he finally gets the cleave off with the damn tide bringer there from Kunka. Goodness me, that took forever.
He worked for that kill. It may have been a solo kill, but he had to work really, 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 really hard.
It shouldn't have been that hard though. That mischance absolutely coming to save the day for him as much as it possibly could. He cannot complain about his RNG. If he goes to the casino not too far from here, I promise you he will be walking away with a little bit of extra cash in his pocket.
Oh, maybe I should give him something to play with, considering how much RNG that he had.
Oh my. Really, Java?
Oh,
Really, Java?
Oh,
Really, Java?
really.
I didn't realize it required luck.
Yeah, that's all.
Nonetheless,
Yeah,
he's
that's
back
all it's about.
back in trouble again. He's going to get X and boat and torrent, and a final right click secures Vierbender yet another kill. It's 10-3 on the scoreboard at the 10-minute mark, and things are going incredibly pear-shaped with such a huge amount of death on the field. It's pointless looking at last hits as the Maledict's there on Mirana. She is low already. Out comes the X as Fearbender rotates in from the mid lane. And Kiwi can get nowhere. He can't even get close enough to the Witch Doctor. And that's not one but two kills from the side of TTT. What is going on here? 12 for 3. 9k net worth on the board. Unbelievable.
That is absolutely incredible. All he's got at the moment, the Kunka, he's actually only got the armlet, and it looks like he's even skipping the Shadow Blade, going straight into the Daedalus. This Kunka is going to start, if he's not already doing so much damage, he's going to be able to crit support heroes in the back line almost instantly.
At this point, he's going to be able to crit good old Troll Warlord in the front line.
He's going to be able to crit so hard that he'll be able to crit me in real life.
Look at this. I mean, they managed to land a fantastic arrow here onto Nubby in the bottom lane, and they just couldn't step forward. Just because the Witch Doctor was in the way, throwing out that coconut. I mean, if they're that afraid of this enemy team at this point, with Kiwi still looking for a Blink Dagger somewhere along the line, and it doesn't even look like he has one queued up. He's currently going for Phase Boots, which is like the next best thing in terms of getting a little bit of mobility as the top lane goes down again. But now we're looking at a Tier 2 Siege. We're not even 11 minutes in. This game is going to be over before it even started.
You know, we talk about timings and win conditions and how to turn it around and how to make plays, and the only thing that I think that can give the side of DO4B a little bit of a lifeline is if that X returns to the jungle, sits in the jungle for a little while, picks up that blink.
It's a little late for that, I'm afraid.
It's the only option that they have to actually being able to set up those kills. Jumps in, gets the call off, and then maybe some follow-up from the rest of the team. Maybe potentially pick up the Blade Mail and hope the side of TTT actually throws their bodies at the Axe. I don't know if that's going to happen though. He needs to actually set up those kills.
He's absolutely key in setting up any kills for the side of DO4B. He's not going to get a blink at least for another 10 minutes at this rate. And I don't think that the side of TTT are going to let him have the space to farm it up. You can see they're already starting to pressure up this bush here on the sidelines here. No amount of vision from this Mirana is really going to save the situation at the end of the day. If they decide to invade and take care of the space that Axe is now fortunately starting to take advantage of. He's finished up his Phase Boots. Still going to be looking for a blink, which is another 2,000 gold away or so. And until then, it's the high tide in the form of this Kunka just washing down your towers left, right and center. There is the X, there's the torrent, no boat to follow up, but none required in all likelihood. The stun is good. Out comes the boat. It was kept in the back pocket for something and manages to get on out of there, good old Fearbender. That's the end of that. Kiwi watches hopelessly from the back lines with very little to be done. And Whirling Axe is coming on out towards the bottom lane. Only going to clip Feels Bad Man. But where's he going? He was going for the courier. It would have been the most cheeky courier kill in history. Fearbender almost catching a nice arrow to the face, but I think he's actually looking to make something happen there. Our mid player finally coming in the form of Big Fudge. He sees a very low Kunkka, but Kunkka has that armlet. He switches it on, he turns it around, and he says, "Go home, boys! This is not where you belong. This boat belongs right square on your heads." Kiwi now on the front lines, trying to make a hasty escape, just managing to get out of there from the wild axes of the Beastmaster, thanks to that stun coming through from Mirana, threading that needle, managing to buy him an extra few moments of life to run away.
That was a crazy fight, and during that whole team fight, you kept on thinking like 3 TTs on the back foot here. I mean, they're running away. All of a sudden, you got Fearbender turning around, getting a Tiebring off, decimating the low HP supports. And while that's all happening, you've got the Sand King sitting on the back lines, trying to see if he can find a last little pick off. He wasn't even needed. He did miss the Burrow Strike on the axe, but I mean, the amount of damage that the Kunkka brings to the party is absolutely phenomenal, and he's just getting so much further ahead. And Kunkka far ahead, like the way he is at the moment, very, very difficult to deal with. Even with the amount of vision that the Dire team has, that DO4B has, they still can't turn the tides.
Yeah, definitely very difficult. And that vision is now disappearing before their eyes with the cheeky little sentry ward from the Witch Doctor. He's going to drop a ward of his own and make sure they do not get sidewinded. He did have an observer ward on the higher ground here where the axe is quietly trying to farm anything. And if anything, that's going to make his life very dangerous. Out comes the invis from the Mirana. And that is because they want to take a piece out of this Monkey King found all on his own at top lane. And they do finally get something, the side of DO4B. 15-4 at the 15-minute mark. It's really looking dire indeed.
And that had to expend
There's another X. And boated will be the Kunkka. And sorry, not the Kunkka, the axe. And that should be the end of that. This should be the end of this tier 2 tower as well. Leaving a single outside tower for the side of DO4B remaining.
DO4B, not even interested. We've got 3 of the players here sitting on the Dire side of the jungle. Neo Vest. Oh,
don't worry about it. Carry on.
well, no. Troll now TP'd in and needs to defend that bot lane. So tier 3 already taking a little bit of chip damage. Not a lot, but enough to say, boys, we are here and we're going to start knocking down those doors.
Speaking of knocking down doors, I mean, they've got that final tier 2 tower in the mid lane to take down. But where do they go there from? Where do they go from there? Is it a matter of just go pick up Rosh as easily as possible, or try to push for that higher ground?
Look, having Rosh is always an advantage. I think it's a little bit too early in the game for the side of TTT to actually take an easy Rosh. So I think they'd rather just prefer to continue to pressure out the lanes, get the farm that they need. I mean, they don't even have the blinks up on the supports on the side of TT, but
Kiwi caught again on the front lines. Oh, the wild axes from the from the Phoenix.
Smart.
Just enough to finish him off. Beautiful sniping, as you say. It's all that long range ability from the X marks the spot on the Torrent, keeping them there forever. Out comes a few more right clicks from Nubby, and it's actually Fearbender again who manages to walk away with the kill, trying to make use of the cleave in the front lines to get a little bit more damage onto the rest of the team and say, come, one by one, I'm happy to take you down. And now it looks like they're happy to push onto the high ground. Same trick again. X Torrent. That's going to keep him busy long enough. Out comes the shout. Is it enough to keep him there long enough? It is. The Maledict will finish him off in the back lines. In goes Axe, though. He finally gets his dunk. The first dunk of the game. He gets X'd up again, though. Stunned by Fearbender yet again. And the Witch Doctor's only there dancing in the back to boot. Phoenix will be going down as a result, though. And it's a spot of good news yet again. 20-6 at 17 minutes in. This is a very, very short game indeed.
Well, that was a really good fight for the side of DO4B. Probably one of the better that we've seen. X got involved, got the call off, got the dunk. They had to actually spend quite a lot there because what happened was you had your you had your fight that happened here in the top lane, just under the tower. And what had happened was they actually had to force the Fearbender to actually run up the hill because the arrow was caught by the Monkey King. And Monkey King couldn't actually get that last hit off. And it forced the Beastmaster to run up the hill, get involved in the team fight, ran under tier 4s, then had to make himself out. He went down. Nubby got caught by the axe because of the arrow, and it was just from there, it was all pretty much set up from the Mirana arrow and everything really fell apart.
No, we want to talk setup. You just think about Fearbender here. How many times has he rinse repeated the same combination. X marks the spot into Torrent, at which point, if you have somebody else there, they'll finish him off. If you don't, guess what will finish him off? The Ghost Ship and the Cleave from Kunkka. I mean, it's a classic combination. They do it all the time. But it should inspire a bit of a learning curve for the side of DO4B. After the 5th or 6th time he pulls the same stunt. Don't step where you don't belong.
And even their base is belonging to the Kunkka. So it makes it very difficult for the team to actually get close to him. I mean, the Vengeful, the Marana, even the Ember Spirit is taking an absolute lashing from the Kunkka. I mean, he's building towards that Daedalus. He's got the Daedalus. He now wants a blink of his own. Not even opting to go for the Shadow Blade. There is no threat to the side of TTT at the moment. DO4B are really struggling to get these engagements and to make it happen. And it's all going to depend on that mobility, that engagement, and Axe opting to actually go for the Vanguard prior to the Blink or Blade Mail, just trying to get his tankiness up, hopefully withstanding that Tidebringer. It's going to delay those items that
They
he
want a
needs
piece
to.
of Sly here, but did they bring any detection for the Sandstorm? We'll see. Rooted is he? He's not even going to get the chance to do much of anything, as that root does last quite long enough, and the damage from this troll is starting to mount quite nicely. Towards the mid lane, though, they want to go for a push here. Phil's Badman will be the first man down, the first defender down, and that leaves the side of TTT free to do as they wish, and slowly but surely take this Rax. Nope, not quite yet. There's the X marks the spot. In goes the Troll Warlord. He's going to try and survive this one with the evade chance again. It's working for him. My word, how many evades is this man going to get before Fearbender finally finishes him down? Out comes another X. There's the Torrent. It's going to keep him busy long enough. The Wild Axe is not quite on point for the first time, I think, this game. And that's the end of that. Axe, in the meantime, has to get his fat buttocks to the front line. And he has to say, cool, right, I'm here to tank it. Let's see what I can do. X'd and Torrented. He's now starting to take a world of damage. The call not really going to make that much of a difference in the front lines. Big Fudge is going to hit the deck as well. Phil's Badman is trying to do as much as he can. Nabi dropping low. He's going to pick up the heal from the Witch Doctor before the tower does finish him off. And that's a spot of good news. A few buybacks forced out, and it means that they'll just need to wait, reset, and then go again, unless they manage to find another pick-off here.
It's, you know, it gets to the point where you just see the same thing constantly happening. The Shrine, now they're fighting under the Shrine. The X comes out. There's the Kokoram comes out. And the poor Ember Spirit taking a world of damage. And then all of a sudden, Fearbender just obliterates the side of DO4B. And triple kill coming out for Fearbender. Kiwi in a lot of trouble now. Probably going to be a Ultra. No, it's not. It's going to go in the way of Nabi. And this pretty much opens up the mid lane of Rax.
No buybacks remaining on the side of DO4B. This game one pretty much secured in the bag. Not much worries here, that's for sure. And not even a cheeky arrow is going to save you from this. The Fortify coming out, 21 minutes in, and that was the worst possible thing that could have happened to DO4B. They've just brought back. They go out to pick up somebody who's on the retreat in the hopes that everybody else has already abandoned him, and only end up losing yet another team fight.
You meet a wild Kunkka all of a sudden. Completely changes the swing of things. So, I mean, this game's
terrifying.
I mean, this game's like, it's done. I mean, 22k net worth, 28 minutes in. I mean, even the support Witch Doctor has the same net worth as the mid Ember Spirit. So, I mean, with the 22k net worth, it's pretty much done. I suppose maybe what we can talk about is potentially what do they do for the next game?
Well, the next game, they need to make sure their lanes are played out nicely. You saw them trying to swap out the lanes, as a swap actually does come out here. It's going to be onto that Witch Doctor, who gets a cheeky Maledict onto the Vengeful Spirit before going down. Kiwi in the front line. He can't get close to backing up his friend in the form of Big Fudge, and has to stay in the front lines in front of Nabi and this Kunkka. Kunkka wants a piece of this fight. Out comes a huge stun from Nabi. It's going to be enough to take one, enough to take two, and now with the final right click on Nabi there onto the Troll Warlord, it means he's going to walk away with yet another kill. It does mean Kunkka finally goes down, and that's a 10 kill streak going the way of that Troll Warlord. That's 1,000 gold in the bank just for him.
That was a really good team fight for the side of TTT. I mean, they may have lost the Kunkka, but I mean, there are 4 heroes down for the side of DO4B. Makes it really difficult for them to to defend this if they can. There are no buybacks. The one benefit of being so low level is that the respawn timers are really low. So they're only now waiting on the troll, and they're going to be able to defend this once again.
Well, they'll be able to annoy the guys in top lane, but it doesn't help what's going on in bot lane as Phoenix is just quietly pushing away. Big Fudge trying to make something happen here. He's going to get a little bit of nuke damage, but he's also going to get shouted at by Phoenix. And not much else is going to happen. It's a dire story indeed. With mid-racks down, the side of TTT know they've just got that final little bit to go before this game has to be called in their favor. I don't know, do you think DO4B might be able to pull this one out?
No.
No.
Just
that's a categorical no.
No, like, I mean, it's all good to give like players the benefit of the doubt and that they have an opportunity and a chance. But, I mean, you literally need, like, absolutely...
the hand of God.
to come and save them. I mean, Fearbender can literally one-shot the entire team and wreck them. I mean, that is...
Look at that.
Look at the troll. Now Sly comes in with the stun.
They've
No
risked
HP.
very little. There's another stun. It's not going to be enough to kill him off. But at the very least, he's managed to get on out of the Kiwi now. Going on the chase. Maybe not a good idea. The Invis is there. But I'm not sure you're going to get too far. They're going to turn around and go for Sly instead. Managed to get a cheeky stun, but it's not quite far enough to get out of the base. There's the swap. It actually could have helped him, but it wasn't enough as he does eventually go down to the stun of that Vengeful Spirit. Big Fudge now in the front lines has to back on out. Big Fudge, he gets out, but it doesn't mean his friends will. Feels bad is the first one down. The next guy down is going to be that troll, and surely there's very little left in this game. The Vengeful Spirit buys back as the top racks begins to fall.
And two of their cores are done. There's not
No
much that
blink.
can be done.
No blink on Kiwi. This would be a great opportunity for a blink on an axe. But still no blink on him. Nothing much he can do. And that's the story of this game. If you're picking up an axe, pick up that blink as soon as you can. Don't bugger around, especially if you're not farming up in lane. Then disappear out of there, go to the jungle, and pick up that blink. Too much hinged on the axe in that draft.
Yeah, it was super unfortunate. They tried to and go toe-to-toe against Triple T. I think it was just the poor fact that Kunka got so far ahead. As soon as he got a couple of kills mid, he then just started rotating, and from the rotations, it just became impossible for the rest of the team to actually stop the Kunka. I mean, he had his armlet, kept toggling it. They never had like any dots. They never had any damage over time. So it made it very difficult to bring down the Kunka. So I suppose moving into game number 2, what they need to do is those important heroes that need to make those big plays like the axe. I know we harped on the axe a lot, but I felt that we needed the axe to actually control the team fight, stop the Kunka from doing what he was doing, and to try and just set up something, perhaps for the troll, perhaps for the Mirana, landing those arrows. I mean, the axe was having such a tough time. The Mirana couldn't actually do her job of actually like roaming around. Didn't even at the end of the game have his blink. So unfortunately, had a very, very, very tough match.
Tough game for that axe.
Yeah.
Very tough indeed. And I guess going into game 2, just let's keep our heads screwed on. We'll see you shortly for game 2.
We'll see. You will see. see. You will see. How many worlds would you cross to use the light that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say straight ahead and you will see.
I remember the fade in your eyes. I'm lost in space, floating away.
ESL1 Genting 2018
And welcome back. It was one hell of a game one.
I mean, 20 minutes
Lasting
in.
a 20-minute or so game. A nice quick round. Yeah, so it goes to show. You don't play your role, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. And item choices are absolutely key. I feel that that was the real clincher there.
It was we had the opportunity during the break till we got into game 2 to actually discuss the draft, the game, the way the game was played. I think we basically came to the conclusion that a lot of the team play, or a lot of the fighting potential came around the Axe, needed to get that blink up, and I think what would have been a better play for them was to actually leave the Mirana in the off lane, pretty much soak up the XP, send Axe into the jungle, get his blink, and then once he had his blink, prioritize that. Maybe get 1 or 2 pickoffs on the lower HP heroes, get a couple of dunks, go back to the jungle, get Vanguard, get 1 or 2 more kills, come back with a Blade Mail, and then be able to deal with the Kunkka. Unfortunately, the Kunkka got way ahead. The rotations couldn't come in from the Mirana as we expected from her, for her being a roamer, just because the Axe was getting dominated so badly. So rather switch up the strategy rather than say, well, Axe, go jungle, you're getting nothing and you're not going to be able to make anything happen.
He wasn't getting anything in lane.
The arrows weren't constantly landing either, so not even the arrows could.
The arrows were good, but even if they landed, there was no follow-up. There was nothing that they could do as a result.
Couldn't get there quick enough.
Why?
So
Because there's an X marks the spot that's going to combo you anyway. So the only real answer to that Kunkka, that I certainly felt this, and
I believe
you
the same.
agree with
I
me,
mean,
was that blink on Axe, which was far more critical than picking up a phase boots and trying to bum rush the man down, because he just X's you and laughs at you while you go straight back into his torrent.
Absolutely.
It's always going to end up being a terrible way down. I don't know. Is there anything else that,
Look,
that
I mean,
they
I
can
think
take away from that game?
I suppose maybe being able to think on the fly. They had a certain idea. I mean, at the end of the game, the troll was doing a decent amount of damage. I was able to actually bring down Fearbend on the Kunkka.
Yeah.
So I think all they actually needed was maybe like another 10 minutes.
And I really like the idea of their draft.
Yeah.
Their draft had a wonderful idea to it. You started off with a nice axe, kick in with a few cheeky arrows, maybe get the Mirana to roam around. And the idea of the draft was really, really nice. I would have enjoyed to see that draft just played a little bit differently.
I suppose a lot of it came down to just maybe it wasn't even a bad play from DO4B. I think it was just better played by Triple T, preventing the farm from Axe, not being able to like run at your cause and just helix away and be an absolute punishment. Maybe going for the battle hunger first was a little bit of an irritation for the support.
No, I thought it was actually a good idea.
I don't know, because you kind of then you're going up against a tri lane. You've leveled up battle hunger. Now you've got to really put in points into battle hunger for it to really be effective. Sure. So if you rather prioritize call and helix, even though you can't harass the support, fine. But then at least I call, I get a little bit of extra armor. I can potentially withstand or at least survive a Melodict. Then at least he wouldn't be dying so much. He wouldn't be so soft to the tri lane of the side of what Triple T actually gave the walloping to.
Yeah, it's certainly. I mean, a lot was decided in that. A lot was decided in that final bout towards the bottom lane, just as we were getting out of the laning phase. But without any further ado, I guess we are ready to rock and roll with the draft for Game 2. Let's get ready to rumble!
Baby.
Yep, so TTT up against DO4B. DO4B obviously looking to take this Game 2 off of the hands of TTT. And we'll see if they can muster up the courage after that solid walloping in Game 1. So the bans are starting to come out. Omni Knight followed by the Dark Willow for the side of TTT. And on the other side of the coin, it's going to be that banned Leshrak yet again. Interesting to see Omni Knight this time round.
It is, and I'm trying to figure out what's the reason for Omni Knight pick. I mean, maybe they're worried that DO4B is going to pick up one of those. That kind of leads me to, I think they're going to try and pick up the Jugger because of the Guardian Angel. That's what the kind of vibe that I'm getting from.
There's other answers to Jug. I mean,
well, you've got the Guardian Angel. Pretty much negates the Omni Slash if you do have the GA available. So it's just one of those options. Maybe they're leading towards that.
I think it's more indicative of them just desperately trying to go for a physical draft, a draft that deals a lot of physical damage rather than focusing necessarily on magical. Then again, Omni Knight's good for just about everything. He comes with a pre-built BKB, and that would have been a good answer to the previous draft. Yeah. Making sure that the X marks a spot can't be utilized as well as it was in the hands of the Kunkka, who is yet again picked up by TTT and may yet again, in fact, go mid with Fearbender.
Well, I mean...
You never know. You never know.
You never know. But, I mean, it worked so well in Game 1. I mean... They didn't have the answers to the Kunkka. This time around, they do have the option to maybe try something new. So they've taken away the Omni Knight. What's still left in the pool? They got the OD. They can potentially go up mid, try and stop that that Kunkka from getting so far ahead, as opposed to the Ember Spirit that was a melee, and you had to approach the creeps to actually get the last hits.
Looks
But
like a rinse repeat of last game. Vengeful Spirit coming out for the side of DO4B on the Dire. And they've got to come up with something different here. I mean, they can't just rely on a different execution this time around.
No, you can't pick the same thing and expect a different result at this point in time. I mean, you've got the Kunkka, you know what that's going to do. You know how hard he's going to hit. You know he's going to get farm. You can't. It's not like a normal, say, SA pub where you can pretty much expect something different, even though the heroes are the same. I mean, this is pretty much very good players on the side of 333. I mean, we've got some master players in there, and they're good players. So essentially,
You mean?
triple T? Did I say 333 again?
Yep.
Oh my god! Oh my! You know why? It's probably because of the slot machines. All I want to see
Just
is
say
like
Tango.
Tango. Okay,
People
all right.
will know
all
if
right,
you say
okay.
Tango.
Tango. All right. So we're going to rename it because apparently I can't say the word T. So anyway, so yes. What I'm trying to say is that you can't expect a person like Fearbender, the caliber player that he is, to not get far. So.
Well, we are seeing a little bit of change now. That's the good news. So it's going to actually be a line accompanying this Vengeful Spirit here for the side of DO4B. Heavy nuke damage coming out from a line. Lots of disables and stuns. Can assist in the case of a Kunkka if you are timing it correctly. But again, part of the problem is closing the distance to the Kunkka, because usually the X marks the spot has got an absurd range. So generally the problem there is getting up close to the Kunkka, making sure he can't complete his entire combination by either hexing him or stunning him before he finishes that progression. So there's one trick. We'll see if they pick up something to facilitate that particular process. On the other hand, though, the Jakiro comes down for It Takes Tree to Tango, or Triple
Well
T.
done, well done. You're such a better caster than I am.
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'll take that.
We're,
No, you're
we're
not.
just we're just gonna agree to disagree on just about everything, and that makes us good casters. Jakiro coming out for It Takes Tree to Tango, and there's a hero that also pushes very, very, very well. Are we going to see a hammer come out from him? A meteor hammer?
You know, but I mean, if he gets farmed enough, absolutely. I think the Yules may even be one of the first items that he actually gets.
It's a classic item from
Yep.
Jakiro.
The Yules into Ice Path, just it secures.
Great setup.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, if you got the Vengeful Spirit, you get the swap Yules yourself. Gives you an opportunity to kind of make a play before you get magic missiled up. So we'll see which way he goes. I feel he's going to go for the Yule Scepter. Even the rod of Atos can even work really well with the Chikuru. Gives him the tank as well. But you know, so we've had a couple of Shadow Demons this weekend.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen it be successful. But, you know, when you have a Kunkka X marks the spot, I kind of get
Shadow
to the point
Demon
to,
might do good.
you know, you get one of your heroes gets X'd out, then all of a sudden you disrupt him and you save the X, you break that combo, you break that.
You need a combo breaker of sorts.
Yes,
Yeah.
Eon Disc is basically the title.
There's a combo breaker right there. An Eon Disc would certainly help. But, I mean, it means that you're not dealing damage for those 2 seconds. Then again, if you're getting X'd up by a Kunkka, you're not dealing damage anyway.
Yes.
Because you're going to spend at least 2 seconds flying up into the air because of the torrent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Eon Disc would have been a good way around. That's a good item to go for. But I'm
Well,
looking
no,
for a good
the-
hero here for the side of DO4B.
Well, look, I would have suggested the Shadow Demon. I just feel that in the games that we've seen, he's been very lackluster. He hasn't been able to bring enough to the forefront to actually
You've already got 2
warrant it.
supports.
Well, you can always play the Venge as a call. I mean, you can
That's true.
always
That's
always put him in a different position. So you could always run that. Although at the moment, I feel the Venge is a better support at the moment. It's I've seen it being playing at the Venge being played as a core. Hasn't been as successful as you'd want it to be.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't bank on that. I wouldn't hold my thumbs for that, and it would probably be a support. So. DF will be really going to task here, really trying to think what they can actually do to...
There's only 20 seconds left on their reserve time clock. They might end up with a random hero. That's one way to throw a curveball. Nope, not going to be a random hero. There's something I'm keen to see. A nice Darkseer coming down to play on the field. There's a nice idea. I really like it. They certainly can't combo up like they used to in Game 1, the side of TTT. because the Darkseer can break up that combo, can make it really difficult in terms of area of effect denial spells, such as that illusionary wall and the vacuum. They've got a good opportunity here to make it count, although he does fulfill, for the most part, a similar role to what the Axe was doing. You bunch people up nicely. If they can capitalize on that, maybe with an Agnum Scepter on the line, that would be some delicious damage.
It really would be. The problem is I think they're going to run out of time. At the moment, we saw what Fearbender could achieve in 20 minutes. If they basically need something to keep the game lasting longer, they need something to actually draw the game out for them to actually get what they need to do. And I don't know at the moment if they've got enough. They need something that can do a lot more. So the Luna...
Now Shadow Demon would have been absolutely critical for the side of
they can still pick it up.
They can still do it, but that means that Venge has to core. If Venge is coring, she's rather vulnerable to, say, a Kunkka. Relatively vulnerable to a Jakiro because her move speed's not fantastic, at least not in the early stages of the match. And she's difficult. She's a difficult core to play.
I'm very tempted to say that a Tinker here mid for DO4B would actually be really good.
In response to a Luna, though? I mean, she's going to be throwing everything at you, including the kitchen sink.
But you've got the opportunity to stay a little bit further back in the team fights. You've got March of the Machines. You've got the laser to actually give the miss chance. And instant reply here to the Slark being picked up here from DO4B. So maybe a little bit of a better response. What I'm worried about is Slark has got a little bit of a low HP or HP pool, and it's going to be pretty easy for the Kunkka to actually get some good right clicks off. The thing is, the Jakiro with the Macapire, Slark's still going to take damage through that. He may avoid the right clicks and the Luna ult, but I mean, you're going to be fighting through Macapire.
TTT is playing this really well, though. They know that DO4B have their backs against the wall, not just in terms of the number of games in the series, but also now in terms of the time remaining for them to think about this critical last pick that they have at their disposal. So if they pick quickly, they minimize the amount of time. Exactly. There we go. Minimize the amount of time that DO4B have to think things through. Now they've literally got these 20 seconds with a couple of odd 7 or so in their reserve second bucket to actually make a choice. This is a big, big play. Nicely done by a Triple T. Looks like they do have something preset, and it's going to be the Dragon Knight to take on that Invoker.
Okay, so the whole time we've been assuming the Kunkka was going to be mid. All of a sudden, last pick, Invoker, is actually going to be the last one to be picked up. So the whole time we've been focusing around the Kunkka, it was just a support Kunkka, and now
you should have seen that coming, since they've set up that expectation in our minds from game one. It would be...
they tricked me. They tricked me hard. And it seems like
you
you're a part of it.
Still going mid, did you?
Absolutely.
Okay, fair enough.
Absolutely. I'll stand by my... No. Like, I mean, the possibility of it actually being a mid Kunkka was good. I mean, Fearbender did really well on it.
Absolutely.
So your expectation is for that. But now the Invoker, you're now saying, okay, well...
Drafting-wise, it puts you in a very difficult position. Sitting against TTT drafting like this.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
So I think they're kind of holding their own here. I think they got a decent draft considering the outcome. I'm just a little bit worried about the Vengeful Spirit. Otherwise, I think a pretty solid draft. We'll see if the Darkseer can actually come to boot. But what I would like to see from DO4B is to actually see a try lane and a defensive try for the side of DO4B, and just keeping that Luna alive, making sure... not the Luna, keeping the Slark alive, making sure that he can actually get the farm that he needs to actually be super effective.
Right, so without any further ado, let's bring to you the Radiant side in the safe hands of TTT. Phoenix will be picking up that Centaur Warrunner, heading towards the top lane. Towards the mid lane, Fearbender is going to be picking up his Invoker, keen to keep an eye on him and see what happens there. Young Kid Wanfu will be picking up his Jakiro, and he will be joining Sly on his Kunkka towards the bottom lane. And last but certainly not least for this extremely well-established team here, it's TTT's Nubby on the Luna.
And for the side of the die, going to be Mr. Hinato Shoho. I'm going to be playing the Lion, King of the Jungle. Kiwi going to be playing out the Darkseer. We've got Mr. Pinkman, the DK, being played out by Big Fudge. That actually makes me pretty hungry, Big Fudge.
I wouldn't mind a piece of Big Fudge right now.
If anyone's listening,
some fudge
please
would be
bring
nice,
the cast to some fudge.
How funny would it be if somebody actually came up those
I would
stairs
love.
with
I would
some
shout out for days. Shout out for days.
Shout out for days. Next.
Top lane going to be the Vengeful Spirit being played by Feels Bad Man, and that's what we're going to say to you for all of you that don't bring us fudge like Feels Bad Man.
Feels Bad Man.
And last but not least, in the hearts of all the shark lovers and fisheries out in the world, it is going to be Neovest on the Slark Shark.
Keep going. It sounded like there was more to that.
It was I tricked you.
A slippery Slark. Okay, let's leave it at
The
that
slippery
then.
Slark.
Right, the slippery
Sorry,
Slark
I'm
towards
I'm
that top lane. He's going to be playing a core role here. Vengeful Spirit, they've obviously opted to keep her in support.
So last game we saw 1 or 2 swaps, never really got to a high enough level to actually be fully effective.
Yeah.
You want to get that full range swap. As soon as she gets to level 6, it's going to be a very short range swap. So
Some bench players don't even bother skilling swap at level 6.
No, it just becomes a little bit of a tedious event,
underwhelming.
you know. It's it does nothing really. So I'm not 100% convinced on the Venge pick, but we'll see how it pans out. I'm more interested to see how the Darks here actually pans out. I mean, he's really good against. It's a really good anti-carry hero. Reason being is you've got the wall. So what's going to happen is the heroes are going to be running through the wall, and then you're going to just be taking a huge amount of damage. So as soon as Invoker, Luna, Kunkka start building up those damage items, he runs through the wall, and they're going to suffer. They're going to really pay.
Well, let's see if they manage to secure the rune yet again for the 3rd game in a row. Nubby is now running straight into it. There is the Ion Shell. They're not going to chase down the Luna. That's surprising. She's a relatively squishy hero in my book towards the early stages of the game. Sure, she hits hard, but it's possibility for a first blood there, maybe slipping through their fingers. Maybe if the stun came through from the Dragon Knight there as she walked up the ramp, and a follow-up stun from the Lion should have been enough to take her down for first blood. Maybe letting an opportunity slip through their fingers, the side of DO4B.
I think it was a good play. Rather just back off. I mean, you know that they ran a defensive try the previous game, so you know there's going to be 2 supports sitting behind the Luna.
Yeah.
You get 2 involved, you go down. All of a sudden, you lose. You give away first blood because just being a little bit too greedy. So I don't disagree with the play at all.
Okay.
Nicely played there from Kiwi, just dodging out the torrent, expecting it to come out. Lion now rocks up to the party and says, "Listen, Kiwi, taking a little bit of pressure here." And I mean, I don't know if I agree with the Lion being here in the bot lane, even though it is a tri lane. If the Darkseer can actually just stay alive, it's pretty much a winning lane for Kiwi if that happens. But now with the Lion here, makes it a little
torrent.
bit
That Ion Shell is going to start dealing out some damage, though. There's a nice stun coming through from Lion. It's a defensive one, trying to keep his friend alive. He turns around for an instant and pays the price. And there's your first blood of the game, again towards the bottom lane, where Kiwi and his friend live to tell no tales because they're never alive. And that's the first one, 1 minute and 30 seconds in. They've really got to button down that bottom lane and make sure they don't walk away with the same situation they had in the previous match.
No, and it seems like we keep harping on this lane. It's just it's such a pivotal.
Don't
pivotal
get me
lane.
wrong, it's so hard to go up against a tri lane like this. You've got a Luna who has a mini stun of her own and a decent nuke in the early stages of the game. You've got a Jakiro, and you've got the most annoying of characters out there, the Kunkka. Very, very difficult lane to keep presence in, or at very least to progress in. But you can't give away a lane every time.
No, and I think
Have to play cautious.
I prefer this play here from Kiwi, going to the jungle, realize he's not going to get anything, and rather just sack the lane. I mean, I prefer this play than rather feeding the enemy. So he may go down, but I way prefer this decision here.
Yeah.
It basically puts the support doing nothing for the side of Tango. That's our new name.
They won't do nothing for long. As you can see, they'll start rotating around the map, because if they're not needed to babysit the Luna here in the bottom lane, they're happy to leave her to get solo XP, move around the map, try and get something else done. Similarly for the supports of the other side, though, as the stun comes out towards the top lane. Oh, but don't get too close to this man, because he's happy to take a piece out of you. Phoenix takes down the Slark, as Phil's bad man manages to take down Phoenix in return. But all that matters is Slark went down first.
That's all. That's all that matters. So a better rotation, and I suppose at least now they're trading blows. You know, they're not just laying down and taking.
Comes the
it.
Hex. Is it going to be followed up with a stun? It is, but Shakira has now made an appearance, and immediately Slark says, "Yeah, I don't like the way it ended last time. Let's not continue." And Shakira knows he can start just bullying people out lane with that dual breath, start whacking away at a lot of magical damage, and all the while, guess who's quietly farming away in the bottom lane, leading the last hits and denies? It's Nubby on that Luna.
Yeah, and I mean this is a perfect position she wants to be in. But I think she's still dealable. I mean, rather let the situation take place.
Okay, so Slark forced to leap away. It does reveal the Lion who has to throw out a defensive earth spike towards the left-hand side. Out to the right-hand side comes a beautiful magic missile, but it's all now for nothing as Fearbender drops a nice little combination there between the Kunkka and the Sunstrike of the Invoker. Now Phil's Badman is pulled back in by the Exit marks the spot, but there is no nuke or stun to follow it up, so she does manage to just casually stroll away.
Yeah, you know when you see that full duration X marks the spot, you're like, oh my gosh, when's it coming?
When's it coming?
When's it coming?
When does he push that button again?
and it never did, and it never came. So it feels bad, man. I must have been super relieved when it didn't come. Phoenix's stun was actually on cooldown. It had about like 3 seconds to go. So, I mean, the Venge survives through it, and you know what? I prefer this from DO4B. A little bit of a different play, getting a little bit of a better rotation.
But it's not doing any favors for the Slark.
No, it's not. But they're not feeding too much. It seems like they're starting to show a little bit more fight for the team. So we'll just have to see how it pans out. At the moment, I'm not completely against it. It's forced the supports here from the bot lane up. Lion gets a nice stun off, just double stuns the Kunkka as well as the Chiguru.
So the way do DO4B have to play this one, because the supports on the side of TTT, what they're going to do, they're just going to match the movements of the supports on the side of DO4B. What they have to do, DO4B, is probably stay a little bit more agile and a little bit more fluid than the supports on the side of TTT. If they're quick enough, they can facilitate a gank on the bottom lane, kill off the Luna, and then get their butts back up to top lane. By the time they're back up, the good old Centaur Warrunner will likely still be on his own, because the supports of the side of TTT would have rotated to try and save the life of the Luna. The trick here is to change faster than your enemy. Now, we'll see if they're going to go that route. It doesn't look like it as the X marks the spot comes out. Out comes another combination of Torrent and Sunstrike, and there is just nothing you can do. That is a mid-air sandwich.
That is
up and down.
Only if the camera was actually on you. That
Water from the bottom, fire from the top. Your steam boiled in the middle.
And in case that wasn't enough, dual breath coming out and actually just proving the point. Hot and cold, baby.
It's
hot and cold. So, like we've made some good points, some valid points, and things like that. And I think you get to the point where you say, well, what do we want to achieve? I mean, at this point in time, I think DO4B is like saying, we just want to survive until late game. And if we approach the situation, it's
arguable.
Okay, so let's just look at this logically. Invoker scales really well. Luna does really well. I'll hold my thoughts.
Sorry, it looks like Centaur Warrunner is in the middle of the thick of things. Slark getting a little bit of damage there, and that raindrop really paying off its dues. But ultimately, nothing comes from either movement. Kiwi actually made an appearance here in the top lane. They've just backed off, and guess what? Bottom lane, quietly farming yet again. He's not out farming Fearbender, though, who's also having a quiet lane in the mid lane. Don't know if Big Fudge can make something happen. Oh, no. The Wave of Terror misses Fearbender here in the mid lane. Big Fudge is nearby. He pops out his ulti. He's going to start with one stun. Sorry, that's actually the magic missile from Vengeful Spirit. Where's the stun from Dragon Knight? No stun skilled, and that means this guy can just waltz on out of there with no further fear or discourse. Difficult, very difficult if you haven't skilled up that stun on the Dragon Knight.
It is. Obviously opting to go for a little bit more damage and a little bit more armor on the DK. While that fight was happening mid, there was a little bit of a tussle in the top lane, and I must just admit, beautiful blocking, body blocking coming out from the Kunkka. They did try and catch out the Slark. Nice usage of the Dark Pact, actually debuffing the stun from the Kunkka. So it was really...
Can it remove Can you remove X Monster Spot? Because that's another way out.
I don't
It's a
think
combo
you can.
breaker.
I don't think you can actually dispel the X, but I think you can dispel an ability cast on you. I am not 100% sure.
Okay.
We'll have to keep an eye out for it.
We'll keep an eye out for it for you. In the meantime, though, the nuke damage is very, very, very heavy here from the Centaur Warren. Having maximized the double edge, is it close enough? Nope, not. Just managing to get on out of there is that Slock, and he's not having a fun time here in this top lane. He's not getting a lot of the last hits. 22-5 at this point, and it's quite understandable. He's under so much pressure.
Wow. Wow. Just the tech damage coming out from the Jakiro enough to actually bring him down. And the Slark really struggling. So yes, I may have liked the decision for the rotations coming out, but it proves that they can't get enough on the Slark to actually keep him sustained. I mean, by this time now, a Slark generally would want some form of a damage item. All he's got is basically treads and a TP to get back into lane.
And I mean, look here at this bottom lane. Nubby now level 9. That means he's going to be pounding away with Eclipses left, right, and center as the stun comes out. It misses from the line, and he's doing a world of right-click damage as well. It's all defensive stuff, but there's a Sunstrike dropping. Doesn't quite connect onto the line. Would have been a very cheeky kill if it did. Towards the top lane, looks like Slarker's looking for a piece of action. He's only going to find himself a piece of liquid fire from the Jakiro, and not much else, unfortunately. But I don't know. What would you do differently if you were in the side of DO4B?
I like the
said
J.
I like
the
J.
J.
You got it
I
in my
like-
head. As the top lane is actually in trouble again, and Slark will hit the deck for the second time here. Phil's bad man is going to feel extra bad because he gets ice pathed up and can't go anywhere except back into the grave where he belongs.
So you're asking me what can they do differently to actually maybe change this out? So, I mean, okay. Hypothetically speaking, DK stays mid, maybe with the assistance of the Vengeful Spirit, the Darks
and
here,
the Dragon Tail, yeah.
and the Dragon Tail. So you got some decent stun lock. I'd maybe put the Darks here in the jungle. You want to try and get Guardians up on him as soon as possible, and then Slark in the safe lane. But then you want to try and maybe rotate the line between the off lane and the mid lane, just to try and force the supports from the side of Tango to try and leave the Slark alone. Slark's now left alone. He's even surrendered the top lane now as well. So it's become an absolute travesty. There's a little bit of a chase on here in the bot lane.
Yeah, Slark looking for a little bit of blood, dragon blood to be precise. He's not going to find him just yet. Out comes another dragon though in the form of Big Fudge. Doesn't have the long range stun from his Dragon Tail. And he's just going to stun and run, good old Jakiro. And he's actually cheeky enough to turn around in the face of this gank squad and just say, yeah, okay, whatever, bring it next time. See you later, boys. I'm just going to watch you as your fine buttocks walk on away. Nubby, in the meantime, teeping away in the bottom lane. And all Slark can do is get a few cheeky right clicks to get the Essence Drift going. That's it. Nothing they can do.
No,
Top lane, next guy down.
Objectives, and I mean they're not going to let up. Tango's not going to let up. They're so far ahead. 8k lead.
It's not as dire as it was in game one. We're sitting at the 11-minute mark. It's only
not,
7
but-
for 2. It's not that bad, but an 8k net worth lead, probably due to the lack of towers in the tier 1 ring for the side of DO4B, is a problem. That's what's contributing for a large part to that 8k net worth lead.
Yeah, it's you want to start at least get Tranquils up on the line. He's almost level 6, so he's going to have his finger pretty soon. The Slark nowhere near getting his Shadow Blade just yet. It's one of those crucial items that you need to at least get a good initiator for, at least trying to get out of there.
Look at where he's sitting. He's 5th from the bottom on the ranking.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult. The lane that he had was super hard. So Darkseer has actually gone into the jungle. She's going to try and get as much farm as she can. While that was all happening, easy. Well, I
Tank the
assume
gank.
easy. It was
Just tank the gank. It's that simple. She's just happened to be at the right place at the wrong time. Picked up the damage on behalf of her team. And I guess if anyone has to die, it's going to be the Vengeful Spirit. She's at the moment the warding lady. So, I mean, you're not losing all that much net worth. Sure, it's never good to go down, but if someone has to die,
Rather-
it'd be that low-value support.
yeah, rather the Venge than the Darkseer, the DK,
Or the
this.
Lion desperately looking for level 6.
Yes.
Well, let's take a look. Out comes a magic missile towards the top lane. It's going to land onto the Luna, but the counter stun is there from Jakiro. They have to be very careful. They can't get too close. In comes the Sunstrike. Oh, the X marks the spot, actually saving the life of the Vengeful Spirit.
I think it would have
a bit
still
of a
missed.
misplay.
I think it would have still missed.
You think?
Yeah, I think she was on the edge. I think it would have still missed. So I think nothing lost, nothing gained, I guess.
Fair enough. Only a little bit of harass damage, and these guys are still desperately looking for level 6. Level 6 finally up onto the Lion. That's a nice amount of new damage. It's not going to do much against a level 12 Luna sitting far enough away not to worry about it, especially when supported by both the Chikiro and the Kunkka. Now, they're going to try and rotate something in. It's going to be in the form of a Slark. Slark gets spotted out. Sly knows where he is. There's the X marks the spot. It means he cannot be mobile, which is something he really does want to be. Out comes a world of pain from Jakiro in the form of his Macropire. Big Fudge crossing it, not caring all too much. Out comes the stun. It's going to land onto the Luna. Luna dropping low. Out comes the ulti. It's not going to be long enough as she goes down first. Novest now trying to get on out of there as the Slark immediately stunned up by the Jakiro. The tick damage now starting to bleed on through. Does he have enough to survive it? He does by 1 HP or so, thanks to that Dark Pact. And that is the first spot of good news. They managed to finally take down the Luna. They only lose 2 in the process. I say only. They lose 2 in the process, but it's a good stop.
High value targets. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're showing that they got a little bit of spirits. I mean, they did take down the Luna, but I mean, they did lose 2 of their big cores. For a Luna that's already so far ahead, it's always good to take down the core. So I can't complain. We can't.
Darkseer getting
can't
caught there in the jungle by both Phoenix and the cold snap from the Invoker. They tried to yet again get a mid-air sandwich going, but unfortunately Sly walks away with the... Sly did not quite manage to catch him in time.
So easy escape. It's going to just be Luna again pushing out the bot lane. Going to be pushing to that tier 2. I'm really interested to see what Nabi's next item is going to be. Does she finish out the Hurricane Park? Does she look for some more damage items? Is it going to be the Manta Bull, BKB? We've got a couple of options. So I'm
BKB
waiting
is a
to see
good
what that
idea
is.
here. BKB really is a good idea. There's a lot of magical stuff flying out from the side of DO4B. And it's stuff you really don't want to run into. Why? Because, I mean, there's stuns and disables and hexes, and that's what buys the enemy the time to take you down before you can deal the damage you are designed to deal as a Luna. So a BKB would definitely be very, very helpful. It's not entirely necessary right now, just because of the state of this particular game, but usually a BKB wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah. Do you like those ice, like that ice
Ice
shape from the Jakiro?
I do.
It looks like waves coming at you. I mean, imagine actually being that hero. Imagine actually being that hero.
One having 2 heads.
Well, no.
A
the
slight
ice part,
personality disorder.
no, you're the hero running towards Jakiro. You're running towards him like you want to do something. You want to punch him with your feather, and you're running towards him, and you see this ice path coming at you, and it looks like waves, like beautiful waves coming at you. I mean, you'll be like, okay, take me, Hawaii.
Fair enough. Kiwi, in the meantime, follows his wave straight into an angry, blinking Centaur Warrunner. No X marks the spot. Means all that combo from the Kunkka thrown to the dust. The X marks the spot never came out.
It did. I think he actually cast it onto the Centaur.
So
Yeah.
a misclick.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh, there, in comes a blink of their own. Big Fudge getting a nice stun onto the Centaur Warrunner. Unfortunately, he's incredibly tanky and he's happy to take a piece out of this Darkseer. Then comes the stun from the Jakiro on the sidelines. It's enough to keep him locked down. The tick damage on Kiwi will finish him off in the front lines, though. It looks like that Phoenix is going to have to get on out of there. He does manage to go for just a moment. Out comes another X marks the spot that keeps the Dragon Knight straight in the middle of the fight. Nubby comes on in, finishes him off with a gigantic Eclipse, and that's the end of that. It's 3 down for 1. Just the Jakiro in the grave for the side of TTT. This is another one-sided affair. 13k net worth, 14-4, 17 and 22 minutes in. It's an absolute bloodbath.
Okay, so did you manage to see how the Jakiro died?
No, I'm afraid I didn't catch that one.
All right, so let me explain to you because it was rather interesting. Would you kindly move your camera?
Oh, here we go. We're taking a page out of Halbert's book.
Albert, stand back. My artistry is so much better. So what happened was they dropped the wall here. They caught the Luna and the Jakiro in this position. Yeah, Lion had an amazing stun. fingered the Jakuru. Now Jakuru says, okay, well now it's time to get out of here. I've got fingered, I've wandered, I've survived just enough to get out of here. Now the illusions from the wall, the Jakuru and Luna illusions, are now chasing down the Jakuru. What happens? He runs past the tower, and what happens when you got 2 targets near a Lunar attack?
You tell me.
The glaives start hitting all the way along here. And then unfortunately the Jakuru actually went down to Kiwi's wall and wasn't even present in their battle. Well, there you go.
That's a shame. That's a real shame to go down in such an unfortunate manner.
And even
being chased by glaives.
And it wasn't even in an exciting manner. It was just like, damn it, these illusions won't leave me alone.
Well, that's a sad fate, but it is a fate nonetheless. Still, it was a good trade, all things considered. So, now DO4B looking for answers. They're going to look to a smoke gank to try and find one. Unfortunately, they're only going to find almost the entirety of TTT ready to rock and roll right in front of them. But you never know. One man goes around, he manages to find the courier, and there's the fight. It starts. A nice double stun there from the front lines. It's a nice initiation. Can they make a kill happen here? Everyone's lifted by the Invoker on the sidelines there. Phil's Badman trying to swap him back in. She's only swapping herself into damage, and now Big Fudge is trying to make a hasty escape as the Luna makes an appearance from the top-hand side of the map. Kiwi now trying to keep on running away. The Blink dodged nicely by the Slark. A nice dodge again, trying to leap across, but unfortunately Phoenix turns around and gives him what for with a double edge. That's the end of the Slark there, and it ends up being 2 for nothing, and the investment of the smoke to boot.
I mean,
another X coming through here. Sly looking for a little bit more out of this. Phoenix is saying, yeah, okay, maybe. Nope, the X broken up.
Sly must feel very disappointed about that one.
Yes.
But that was, I'd say, a very unfortunate smoke. I mean, trying to be engaged upon by the DK, blinks in, gets the Dragon Tail off, but I mean, the entire team from Tango was in the vicinity and said, well, okay.
Cool, we want to take another team fight, let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, we're ready. We're ready. And even the Venge trying to get herself out. Even Fearbender being caught like on the lower ground, getting swapped into position, actually just made it easier for him to get the kill on the Venge.
Well, if nothing else, the side of DO4B can be proud of the fact that they've managed to withstand the tide of battle here for their 20 minutes, and they still have all Raxes standing. A much better situation than they found themselves in Game 1. So there is a glimmer of hope on the horizon, although that 19,000 gold net worth lead sitting on the side of TTT should be an omen of ill fates to come, as well as that scoreboard of 16-4. Is there any answer here for DO4B? Is there a hope?
First, I would like to see the Slark move his Ogre Axe into one of his slots. I don't believe...
Stout Shield is still there.
I would prefer to maybe see the Sage Mask being put away and maybe...
Oh dear, here comes the initiation. They're looking for another mid-air sandwich. Not required. Wow. It's enough to just kill him off in one foul sweep. And that's the end of Slark in the front lines there. Every time they poke their heads forward, they just get it bitten off.
I'd like to say that if the Oak Axe was actually in the slot, you would have actually been able to tank it and actually survive potentially. But yeah, this is
a hammer.
You spoke about the Meteor Hammer.
Yep, and on the top line, it looks like the man's going to go down yet again in the form of Kiwi. And the mid-rack slowly but surely melting. 21 minutes in, people getting caught off guard. And there's that beautiful glaive story. Look at that support. Struggling to stay alive. Has to pop the smoke to stay out of vision. But gets X'd up. And there's the Sunstrike swapping in. It's that vengeful spirit.
Wow.
What are they thinking?
Wow.
Down will go to Dragon Knight as well. And here should end the game again. Nubby keeps right-clicking away. Doesn't have the Eclipse anymore, but is happy to stick around anyway. In comes the Slark. He gets stunned up, disarmed, and now immediately slowed up. There's the boat. There's no hope for this. It's all done and dusted. Fool's Badman feels it between the cheeks. Kiwi goes back in. They've got all the heart in the world, but none of the sustainability to stay in that fight. And it's all done and dusted. 5-man team wipe, all sorts of buybacks, and a GG is called.
So they went past the 20-minute mark.
Yeah.
But 2 minutes 30.
By 2 minutes 30.
And they're like, damn it, we failed.
Oh, well.
I mean, that's the way they controlled out the Slark. The line dusted up and still going down.
I know.
I mean, that's going to feel bad, man.
Well, he did name himself Phil's Badman. And I'm sure he's not feeling good, man, at this point.
No.
But yeah, well, it's a learning experience, and I think, just judging from the performance between the two games, they started out with similar ideas in the draft. They had more or less the same idea in this draft as well. But the execution was a little bit better. They had the right idea.
Yeah.
They moved off those
I like the
supports
idea
on the bottom.
of moving around the map. I prefer them to not be so
Now
stagnant.
it's just a matter of practicing that
Yes.
maneuver to the point where they can't keep up with you.
Yes, maybe move to the top lane, get something done, move to the mid lane. So as soon as the enemy team responds, you're already on your next mission.
Exactly. Well, I mean, other than that, what could they have done differently to maybe have stretched this out to the 30-minute mark, maybe even 35?
Change the Venge pick.
Change the bench pick. Okay, fair enough.
Even the Slark looking at the kill, the KDAs, I mean, it was really dismal. But I think even though the Venge had the most kills with 2 kills, it was it was a bit better. But I felt that I actually liked the DK line and Darkseer pick. I think the Slark was a little bit overwhelmed, as well as the Vengeful Spirit.
It's just a pity. I mean, it's the second time they've picked up a hero that's designed to bring an entire team together, but they haven't got anything that really follows that up nicely.
So maybe
you've got some AOE
instead
in
of
the
the
form of the
Venge,
big
Disruptor.
fudge. Yeah, a Disruptor would have done nicely, because that combos up quite nicely. You've got a nice area of effects, silence. It does do a fair amount of damage, at least in the early stages of the game. And it combos up very nicely with that idea that they keep wanting to expose, both with the Axe and now with the Darkseer in game 1 and 2, and capitalize on it, and really capitalize on those picks. So maybe that's the trick they missed, maybe it's not. Let us know what you think, but not for now. Let us know later, because we're going to head off to another game just now. We shall see you shortly, though. From myself, Wilson, Triple XL, and my dear friend Jabba, cheerio for now.
I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Just stare, 'cause the flames will burn us up. You were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you all by the warm sea. You meant the world to me. You meant the world to me. like shadows in the atmosphere, trying the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near, in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares through the great big leaves. Laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I give you everything. If you cross by the stormy seas, then you meant the world to me. For me, that's why I give you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me.
actually as a DD, they're gonna man mode it. Look at how much. Oh, actually they can cancel the Legion commanders over one else. Dodo that gets the hook shot onto Donnie as well. Is it enough damage though? The Sonic Sword comes out, they burst down the chin. Debbie gets up the big Requiem now as well.
Then what happened was, as we started sieging, they obviously TP'd back because we would have taken their racks a lot quicker than they would have, so they were forced to react to us. And then the plan was to slow siege, and then obviously you see the Sand King went in and initiated, and then we were all forced into a fight, which they ended up with.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and it's starting to cool down here in Bloemfontein, but fortunately I'm sitting right next to a very warm, cuddly bear. Albert, how are you doing?
I'm cold. Not warm at all. This place is freezing.
I know, my friend.
For those you don't know, there were cuddles happening before this.
There were?
Wilson and I were just... but it was about survival, and you'd understand if you were here too.
Maybe, maybe not. But that's one thing we don't know. Another thing we don't know is that we're coming into this best of 3 one game late. It's CKC up against DPL. DPL has already managed to take one game off of CKC. We don't know how that happened, but it did happen nonetheless. We're going to get you guys straight into game 2 now, just before the draft kicks in. And I believe they're all ready to rock and roll, and so are we. But we've seen a lot of meta picks this game, and I'd like to just discuss that before we kick off the match.
Okay.
We've seen Lifestealer with the Radiance, which we discussed before. We've seen a few appearances of a Shadow Demon, but the poison from Shadow Demon's been nerfed. So I was wondering, what role does he play that he's still getting picked up?
So what's interesting is I was actually chatting to Dirt and Die about this outside. I'm going to pretend you weren't there, so it'll sound interesting to you.
I wasn't there.
Weren't you there?
No.
Good work. So,
for once, my non-involvement made it better.
so you know, I'm not a big fan of this kind of thing, but like, basically we spoke about in one of the previous casts that it works really nicely if you have a specific goal in mind for the hero. So as an example, if you're trying to create, you know, extra Terror Blades or something like that. But a good example that was used is if you're playing up against something like Luna, where you can create a bubble of your opponent's Luna, and you can actually do a lot of damage to the Luna by himself, and obviously getting a lot out of the deal for that. Personally, though, I'm not a massive fan of Shadow Demon at the moment. I don't think he's that strong. I've been ridiculing him all weekend behind the scenes, making gestures as if I was casting, what's it called? Poison? Shadow Poison. Shadow Poison.
Shadow Poison, yeah.
Casting Shadow Poison, and then saying I'm helping, like this. I'm helping.
Yeah. I swear I'm helping. Well, let's see if he will pop out again in this particular draft. I'm not entirely sure we will see him, not from these teams. Anything you'd like to see in this particular draft coming out here for
Punch.
game 2? Obviously, DPL is on the front foot here, and CKC is going to have to bring out something if they want to stick around.
I'd like to see Pudge.
You'd like to see Pudge. Why Pudge?
Because I'd like to see Pudge.
Just because you want to see Pudge.
Cool
You
hero.
hear that, boys? He wants a Pudge.
Cast Hook. People travel to him at speed. He then eats those people and rots a little bit on top of them.
So you can relate. Is that what you're saying?
And after that, it was great being here, guys.
It was
There's
a
so much
pleasure.
to KGL.
Cheers, friends.
Also, Wilson, you're fired.
Oh. Well, before you fire me, let's get through into the bands. We're going to start off with an Outworld Devourer by CKC, followed by the IO and the Leshrak from the side of DPL. Now, CKC taking their sweet time on the first rounds of bands. That's usually when those bands come out very quickly. We saw a Sniper band out here, and we've seen Sniper band out in a bunch of the games here at this LAN. Is there any particular reason for this trend of banning Sniper all the time? Is he a particularly successful hero?
In all honesty, I think the reason that you're banning Sniper at this level is probably because Sniper at this level must be really difficult to play against. You're in a position where the guy is far away and he is shooting you. So
Yeah.
it's going to be Certainly,
Well, it's just a matter of closing the gap. You've got heroes that are designed to do that, such as a Clockwork or a Disruptor. If they're in retreat, he can pull them back.
it's about the ease of
Tiny.
use. It's about the ease of use.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
These teams are not necessarily as well versed as the kind of sides that we've seen play, you know, in other environments, and this definitely means that the ease of use of your strategy is very important into taking a victory. Picking
Yes, I
heroes
know
that you're
that one.
comfortable with. Yeah, you know all about the support life there. Anyways, so basically, it's about the ease of the team being able to perform their tasks, and also really about how comfortable you are with those particular heroes.
Making
So
it as easy as possible to execute your strategy rather than building
Yes.
a complicated strategy, which is very effective as a strategy but requires a high degree of execution.
correct.
Okay.
So sniper is probably just something that we don't feel like dealing with. It's really easy to play. It is a challenge to deal with, so rather get rid of something like that. Probably a
Conquer?
similar reason why we see the OD being removed.
Okay.
As for Kunkka, it's actually a pretty good hero. Actually, I think we've seen it played in several roles today. So obviously, quite a flexible pick. So you know, there's your justification right there.
Okay.
As for the bans from IO, Leshrac, and Disruptor, those are all just like really good bans. I would say DPL either are enjoying some time on Daft Dota, or they are, you know, well versed enough to know that these are high priority bans and things they don't want to use. And I will say this much: at first, I was kind of critical about the I ban because I don't know how many people actually play IO in the scene well enough to justify it being a first pick ban. But you know, the Chaos Knight comes out, and you go, well, you know, one of the traditional guys that go with IO, understandable. Then maybe they know something we don't about CKC.
Well, let's get into the picks. Witch Doctor is going to come out to play on the field for the side of DPL. He's going to probably bring them a whole lot of joy and healing and stuns and nukes. So let's take a look if that's going to be the case. Clinks and Chaos Knight are the first picks from CKC, and that is a very bold move when drafting. Drafting your cores first, unless, God help me, this is a support Chaos Knight. They've just drafted 2 of their cores, which means they've revealed quite a lot about what their intent is.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a 4-position CK, so we'll have to wait and see. And it's
would-
not
it would
entirely.
amaze me.
It's not entirely. I want to say that sometimes you do pick up a core if you value it really, really highly, and we can assume one of 2 things about this: either they really just don't want their opponents to have clinks, or they are concerned that it will be banned out in the second phase, so they just figured they'll pick it up now. So, once again, maybe something we don't know about this side. But right now, to be perfectly frank, DPL just seem to be drafting considerably better, in my opinion. They pick up the Witch Doctor and the Sand King. That gives them the flexibility of something like Sand King that, you know, in a pinch could go to your off lane, but is a really solid support, a really successful support. We don't see a huge amount of Witch Doctor, I would say, but it's still it's a good support. And if you have a plan around it, if you're planning to pick up like the Void or something down the line, makes a lot of sense. I would actually like to see the Void banned out now by CKC. That would be like a good move, because it would, I think, gimp a little bit of what a Witch Doctor offers.
Okay, and what about the Sand King? I mean, Sand King and Faceless Void aren't exactly best of buddies.
Oh, they're fantastic.
not bad. but-
I've actually never understood the criticism about that. Obviously, you lose out on the slow from Epicenter, which is significant. But if you get off a big Epicenter into a really big chronosphere, i.e. catching 3 or 4, maybe even 5 heroes, you're still getting the damage output, right?
Yeah,
And then
you're
afterwards-
maximizing the damage
Yeah,
because
and
no one can run out of
exactly,
it.
and then afterwards you're still going to be able to get away with a, with a Burrow Strike on multiple heroes, because you have all the time in the world to line it up. I think the criticism people often, and the other part of that is that you don't necessarily actually lose your slow from Epicenter. Like the concept of you can only cast it during the Epicenter isn't really true.
No, of course.
You can cast it whenever. So I don't really agree with that criticism of SK and Faceless Void.
All right. Free to disagree. Axe banned out there by CKC, and DPL opting to take out the Doombringer himself. Doombringer ban usually is indicative of trying to protect a very key hero like an Enigma later on in your draft. Not sure if that's what they're thinking here, but it wouldn't be a bad idea. Does combo up nicely with a Sand King and, of course, a Witch Doctor. Grouping up people nice and tight so that the Maledict affects more than 1 or 2 heroes can be rather crucial sometimes. Sven taken out by the side of CKC. I feel like they are thinking along the same lines I am there. Which leaves DPL with the final ban for the second round of bans. Any ideas?
It's very hard to ban up against what CKC has picked at the moment. you see 2 cores, that's great, and you can potentially ban out things like IO because you know it works well with CK. But it's really now a case of you should probably be banning, and then you can see what they've done here is actually, like, I'm okay with it. They've targeted the off lane. So they've kind of said, cool, so we know what your main pair is likely to be, because I think this is likely to be a
core Chaos Knight.
A core Chaos Knight and probably a 1-position Clinks. So they've banned out 2 really decent offlaners. But they get Omni Knight anyways, so the way I see that is they don't want to play against those 2 offlaners, and those 2 are very disruptive, so they go up against Omni Knight instead, which is obviously the preference for CKC. But yeah, so that's probably going to be the offlane. But it could still run as support, I guess. But I'd like to see it offlane.
Okay.
Oh, can I say
Knight.
one last thing?
Yes, please.
I feel like we were about to say the same thing. Do you want to go?
No, you
No,
take
you
it.
go.
No, please.
No, you go.
No, please.
No, you hang up.
No. You're the one who fired me. You
right.
can do all the
In that
heavy lifting
case.
now.
Next hang up gesture. Obviously, I mean, that's actually fantastic against Witch Doctor, because Witch Doctor's damage is physical. Were you going to say it?
Yeah, pretty much. You also
gave me. No, yes, maybe.
Yes, that and Omni Knight obviously brings a lot more to the field as well, making Chaos Knight illusions very difficult to take down as well. Still, we'll see what happens. It combos up also nicely with the Chaos Knight because of that Reality Rift. You can create a lovely heal bomb by combining the Omni Knight heal with the Chaos Knight Reality Rift. Bring them right close together, him and his opponent, drop a heal, and you're very, very, very happy from there on in. So you not only have 1 nuke, but 2 nukes in 1 foul sweep. Slardar picked up by DPL on the Dire's side of the map, and he will be opposed by this Timbersaw on the side of CKC. Now, Timbersaw, that's a rough pick. That's a whole lot of nuke damage.
That's interesting because it's somewhat strange in the sense that there is actually quite a lot of lockdown.
Well, there's 2 strength cores in the field, and Timbersaw tends to perform quite nicely against strength cores.
I was going to say that it's interesting in the sense that they have quite a lot of lockdown, but not a lot of magic damage. So, obviously, with reactive armor, you're going to be able to take a lot of damage, but you also have the Slardar amplified damage, which I think was actually, they didn't pick Slardar, they picked amplified damage because they were, okay, Clinks is irritating, this is how we're going to deal with Clinks.
It also reveals the invisibility, so quite key.
And there's your magic damage, so that'll do. I mean, obviously that amplified damage, the lockdown, if you get a Maledict on top of that as well, even if he's quite tanky, he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so Tiny, a very wise pick here by DPL, as you said, provides the magical damage to deal with the Timbersaw if he's running rampant behind the enemy lines. But then again, Omni Knight, this is why I love that hero, he is incredibly strong because he can deal with both magical and physical damage and really facilitate a fantastic fight. Timbersaw will likely be the recipient of the early free BKB in the form of the, just remind me again, the free BKB that Omni Knight brings to the field. What's it called?
Repel?
Repel, thank you. Likely recipient of the Repel will be the Timbersaw in the early stages of the game, and maybe later will be the Clinks and the Chaos Knight when Timbersaw is big enough to take care of his own potatoes.
I gotta say as well, with this many strength heroes on the deck, they're all obviously all melee as well. I mean, other than Huskar, I don't think we have.
Timbasaw's going to have a
Yeah,
a whale of a
he's
time.
got quite a nice. I mean, Tiny does do a lot of magic damage, so that is good against Timbersaw. But you know, you're probably looking more like a Lina or something to really deal with Timbersaw nicely. So, and Tiny is a one-trick pony as well. He's gonna pretty much burst and then he's done, right? So, if there's a Guardian Angel up right now, there's not a lot of magic damage to deal with. So, DPL probably need like a Queen of Pain.
Or maybe even the Lina.
Yes, I think you know. But
The problem is
it
the
depends how
Chaos
they want to
Knights
play it. If they want to work in somewhat,
Earthshaker?
not definitely not Earthshaker.
No, he's melee, of course. Melee.
Yeah, so I'm glad you picked that up because it would just be far too much melee.
Yeah.
Melee.
Melees. Right, so what else is finalized? It's going to be the bans. That was the Viper from the side of CKC, the Shadow Shaman on the side of DPL as they finalize their draft with a Silencer for DPL and a Templar Assassin for the side of CKC. Templar Assassin bringing a lot of physical damage and reducing the armor. Kind of a nice response to Slardar. If you're going to make me squishy, I'm going to make you squishy too. And the Silencer, not exactly incredibly mobile, although it is a natural carrier for a 4-staff to try and get around the field as well as contribute to his intelligence, which ultimately contributes to his right-click damage.
so they're running.
You have a very confused look
Yeah,
on your
because
face.
the way I see this is, so they have TA mid, one position Clinks, and they have the Omni Knight and the Chaos Knight, the Knight supports. That's what they're the Knight supports. That's where it's got to work.
So this is actually a support CK.
I think that's going to be. I mean, it can't not be, right? Because you're not going to run Timbersaw as sport. You're certainly not going to run TA or Clinks as sport. The only two that have been
They
on
have the possibility of being supports.
That's a
CK.
really bad sport, yo. Like really bad.
Well, I've seen it work out with not Armlet, with... Oh, I can't
Agnums.
remember. What's wrong with me?
The Agnums, yeah.
There's the Agnums, and then there's also the Amulet.
Yeah, so I don't think CK is necessarily the worst 4 position in the right scenario. And this is not a 4 position CK.
Okay, well, let's see what happens. Without any further ado, let me give to you the boys on the side of the Dire. DPL, they've got one bag in the game in this best of 3 series. It's Divan DK at KGL, obviously. Will be picking up that Slaughter headed towards the bottom lane. Towards mid lane, it's going to be Edrahimovic. Wow, okay. Playing that silencer towards the mid lane. Polybius will be picking up that Witch Doctor. Looking forward to good stuff from him. Stumpy Dog will be picking up that Tiny. And last but certainly not least for this lineup, it's that Sand King in the safe hands of Wormy.
Right, and on the other side of the river, and I'm just going to start guessing now because I'm a little bit confused, but it's going to be a 4-position Omni Knight, a 3-position Timbersaw played by Droid Commander.
I feel you have to read that differently. Droid Commander 960067.
Right. And played by DT68, just pretend you Wilson never spoke, it'll make sense then.
Okay.
Game Child will be picking up the Templar Assassin. Obviously, going to be the mid. Bottom lane will be, I think, a Clink support and a CK Corn position.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Ricky can do it.
Yeah, if Ricky can do it, why can't Clinks, I guess? Oh, he went for the deny, didn't quite manage. Still, all 4 bounty runes distributed evenly.
The Steel Arena, but he didn't get it. But valiant effort. I'm so curious. I want to watch this bottom lane because I want to know what's happening. He's got the Blightstone, right? So Blightstone plus Searing Arrows would be really painful.
At least in the early stages of the game,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And it is something that he would build into anyway, going for that Desolator to push later. But, I mean, distributing the farm here is going to be a challenge. Abandoned Genes and Mr. J maybe not going to work together all that well. So, let's see what happens. Towards the top lane, it looks like Timbersaw will be supported directly by the Omni Knight, unless he's on his way to another lane. Again, an interesting choice, because Timbersaw is one of those heroes that enjoys being alone in a lane to maximize the amount of experience he's getting, and therefore how quickly he can start steamrolling across the map.
Yes, obviously with a Timbersaw, the most important thing you can get is experience. So the Omni Knight's going to help him in a big way of getting that.
Opting not to block the lane, apparently. Tree grab picked up here for Tiny. This is a valuable skill at level 1. Very, very valuable.
Yeah.
Especially if, you know,
Keep
you
an eye
want to
behind
get
though.
some harass, but not actually directly right-click, which is exactly what you want to do with a Timbersaw. Still, let's take a look. Wormy is nicely positioned. He has a Burrow Strike at level 1. Is in range of the Omni Knight, but this isn't really a lane that they can easily kill. Omni Knight making it very difficult with the Purification. There, Wormy goes in. Opts for the Burrow Strike onto that Omni Knight, who picks up not 1 but 2 coconut hits from that level 1 coconut of the Witch Doctor, but that should be that. They cannot progress any further, and it's a very hard hero to kill. In the meantime, bottom lane, Slardar forced into a defensive stun to keep Mr. J off his noggins.
That's support links. He's going to shoot fire arrows at him. I mean, if this game goes to 60 minutes, to 90 minutes,
Well, then it's just,
then it's fantastic.
yeah, because, I mean,
Oh,
the
mid
number
lane,
of
I think Game
cores...
Child's going to be brought down here. A little bit of orb walking might do the trip. No, it looks like Game Kid will survive, uses the Fairy Fire, but takes a lot of damage from Ibrahimovic. I wanted to say I'm not a massive fan of the Silencer mid here because he doesn't offer a huge amount. I mean, he's got like Arcane Curse and he's got Last Word. He does have a pure bit of damage, which is helpful from Glaive of the Wisdom to deal with the Timbersaw, but I really feel like you could have used something that's just a big burst of damage. Sure, you have it in the Tiny, but that's a lot of eggs in one basket, and it's not like you needed more physical DPS, right?
But Templar Assassin's really struggling here in the mid lane. She's sitting all the away. Where is she? There she is. 5-0 on the last hits and denies, while Silencer's way outperforming her at 9-1 at such an early stage of 2 minutes and 20 seconds. This is very skittish Dota, I must say. I haven't seen such skittish Dota in some time, and Templar Assassin, it is well deserved, because that curse is really buggering up her refraction.
It's obviously quite an issue for him as well, because he's going to be under like constant pressure, and refraction is quite expensive now, but he actually has only used the one refraction, I believe, maybe two, and regenerated a bit there, but I think he's just getting a bit bullied by Silence at the moment. He definitely needs some regen, because he's come straight back into the lane, but no regen to speak of. He's looking for a bottle. He isn't too far off it, but there's a good chance he just gets punished before the bottle arrives, which means he expends the bottle on building himself back up, and then he's in trouble again. But they're going to man fight here, but as you can see, that's exactly what I was concerned about is... Oh, does he get the kill?
Yeah.
I mean, if he
Wormy's not too far. It's only level 1 though, that Burrow Strike. He has to get right up against her. And the
Come
creeps,
hug me.
The creeps get in the way, meaning the kill is not a possibility. In the meantime, top lane, Maledict is up on Timbersaw. He's slowly ticking away, but I think he should be just A-okay. He does have just enough regeneration to weather the storm of the Maledict. As you said, Game Child using the bottle almost immediately as he gets it. That's not good news for mid.
Yeah, so as you can see, because he's coming without regen, the time took him to actually farm it. He actually went to man fight as well, so now he doesn't have a bottle, right? And if Wormy's clever, he will go and he'll guard the top rune, and Edrahimovic will just start moving towards the bottom rune, and then just make sure he doesn't get it, because although he only has the one tango, I was going to say he's in a better position, but he's actually taken quite a few side blades, and now he's not so much in the same spot. There's a regen rune. I mean, that is perfect.
Not sure it was perfect to pick it up by the Clinks, but let's see what happens. I mean, especially considering... Okay, well, let's see what happens. Ibrahimovic in a tight spot. He doesn't know that Clinks is nearby, and there he comes. The curse is there. It's going to bust off all of those... oh dear, just in time comes in Wormy, and that's your first blood in the mid lane. Ibrahimovic finally walking away with something here from this Templar Assassin.
At least his bottle's full.
Yep, his bottle is now full.
Top lane, Maledict just killed your Timbersaw. You really need a level 1 repel when going up against the Witch Doctor.
Yeah,
it's
necessary.
It's such a amazing value point, especially considering DJ Aura is not that important when you're going up against 3 stunners.
Yeah, they don't mind. They don't mind at all. Out comes a 3-second stun towards the bottom lane. And he's pulled in again by Mr. J, but it's just not enough damage. Wormy now makes an appearance, and that sounds the retreat for CKC in the bottom lane. Not much that could be done there.
I like Wormy. Look at him. Look at his little claws. He knows a good hero.
Man, he just happens to be playing a hero you love.
That's why he's the best player in this game.
Are you sure it's not Polybius?
It's definitely Wormy.
I'm pretty sure Witch Doctor's better.
Nah.
Sorry, we're just having a little lovers tiff here.
I'm pretty sure Polybius is actually the worst player in this game.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You let me know when we finally gets a kill, will you? In the meantime, Mr. J. He's doing okay here. In terms of last hits, it looks like he's taken the lead in the bottom lane here. 13 for nothing at the moment, just behind his Timbersaw buddy in the top lane. But it is duly noted that the top 2 dogs at the moment by a country mile are both the Tiny and the Silencer. Out comes the stun onto the bottom lane, though. A nice counter stun coming through from the Slaughter in the form of the Slytherin Crush. It's just enough to buy him enough time to get on out of there, and maybe the positioning of the Clinks was a little bit off. He should have stood just a little bit further away when he initiated with that first right click, in which case they would have walked away with a nice easy kill.
I would so what's useful? Oh, Clinks, don't do it again. No, Clinksy. Don't do it, Clinks.
He's doing it. I don't know what he's going to do with the haste, but there you have it. He has it, and I think he wants to take a piece out of the Slaughter again.
That's a really good run and a really good time for your tier, right? Because normally tier at this point he's got like phase boots or something, right? Or not, he's building towards it at the very least. He got something of it. And a really good push to got phase boots. So if he picks up the haste rune, he is 6. He can walk up the lane and gang it beautifully. And the fact that you have Slaughter off in this off lane, and you have the stun from the CK, perfect. Get in there, pick up yourself off a nice tasty off laner who's doing really well, by the way. He's getting a lot out of this lane. He's level 6 himself now, so pretty much the same level as the mid. So he's gone full experience there.
Certainly.
Would have been a great one. And but I'm glad because Droid Commander listened. He's taken a value point in Repel.
Yeah, and it is truly a value point if ever there was one. It's a free BKB at an early stage of the match. Lasts you 4 seconds. It's absolutely gargantuan. Absolutely buggers up the day of the Witch Doctor, as his source of damage, at least for the earlier portion of the game, is magical in the form of the Maledict.
Exactly. I mean, he's not going to punch you to death, right?
Yeah.
And if he does, you're doing something wrong. But it also means for the Timbersaw he can become hyper aggressive in this lane, especially once he hits 6. Because when he hits 6, he just becomes a massive bully. He just starts walking straight into the creep wave. You want to come have a little bit of a farm, and you meet a Chakram, and he can just do more than you. Did I hear a Chaos Bolt?
Yes, he did, but it was defensively thrown to the Slardar as he was starting to wail on Mr. J out here on the bottom lane. He doesn't have another stun though, which means if Wormy decides to rotate on down, there's a good chance of a nice clean kill here, as there's no counter stun to try and slow down the tide of battle. In the meantime though, in the front lines on top lane, Polybius managing to skulk his way out of there from, I thought I saw an inverse hero.
Klinks was in the surrounds there, so
Klinks, there you
they
go.
do actually have a sentry up here. So if Klinks does get overzealous, in
There's
this top
4 for the side of CKC. I don't think they're going to lose this one, even with Wormy and Polybius there.
Well,
Wormy
if
only level 3 as well.
it's more of a case of you coming in, you try and get a division or something, and you just end up being wrecked. So, tossing out the side traps, but not really, you're not going to go underneath there. I mean, you do not go under the tower with the 3 stunners there before that Chakram is available on your Timbersaw.
The only one who can even think about it is Timbersaw.
And the thing I don't like as well is that they've come into the lane before Timbersaw 6. So he's now just, well, I'm sharing my XP, and the lane is pushed forward. Stumpy should probably not be using a tree though, because he will push the lane forward and reduce your farm overall.
Well, it's not going to go all that far forward. but
they can't-
there's a lot of pings coming out here.
technically
Game
can't
Child
farm
wants
here.
to go in here. Okay. Timbersaw chopping away at the trees. It means the tower can now take a pound or 2 at him. And I'm not sure that was entirely the wise idea. I think they're trying to force a very difficult issue. I'm not sure why they're trying so hard to get this lane down.
Well, the thing is that they're not getting a kill here without sacrificing somebody, and they're sacrificing their time by having so many people sitting up here top. Your mid should really only rotate if there's a likelihood of him getting 2 kills.
Yeah.
So right now he's sat top, and he's just going to back off because he can't do anything there.
And in
But
the meantime,
Silence
Klinks in
is
mid
9.
lane is just getting munched.
No, well, I mean, Klinks made the right call. Like, that's exactly what you should do, is go get the experience that's being wasted. But he's now level 7 up against the level 9 Silencer, and even with a DD, he's not much of a threat. You can't really get
dear.
to him.
Oh dear, Timbersaw scouted out, sprinting Slardar, no stun to follow up. It's not really the hero he wants to go killing, but, this is a very awkward play,
that
I must
is a
say.
huge amount of damage. Yeah, there's only 1 in reactive armor. He's dead.
He's probably, yep, down he goes. Let's see if they can get the counter kill. Nope, the stun comes through. A second stun from Wormy. And Wormy still doesn't manage to get the kill, but he does manage to walk away with an assist on the Klinks as well. So finally a little bit of action. 0 for 4 at 10 minutes in. Well, basically 11. And it looks like DPL has the numbers for the team of CKC.
Yeah, DPL at the moment they're really far ahead, but they're further ahead than one might think, because when you look at net worth as the primary stat that we track as casters, it's generally because normally, even when you're doing poorly, you're still getting experience. But right now, we're talking about there's a level 9 Slardar, which means he's got a full experience. He has been in lane, having the whale of a time, and he is going to have a huge impact as this game progresses. Up against a level 6 Timbersaw, who's technically his counterpart, but admittedly he did have the Omni Knight with him. But more so, it's the mids that's the big problem, where we still have a level 7. And the stun comes in.
Oh, lovely coconut. There's the ultimate from Polybius. He's going to try and minimize the amount of damage they can do to Stumpy Dog. Stumpy Dog looking for the counter kill. He does get 1 in the form of the tree toss. It's nicely done. In comes the silencer. The silence was decent, but not quite good enough. 1 more right click is good enough for Ibrahimovic to walk away with yet another kill under his belt. And it's 6 for 1. That's the call. It looks like they're going to back on off unless Klinks grows a severe pair of brass ones and goes back in.
Yeah, that was quite a nice avalanche, actually. He caught all 3 of them
All
in it.
3 of them.
Set up a really nice paralyzing cast, which Doctor really stood his ground, and it is in fact worth it.
Well, it's not like you can really run away as a Witch Doctor. You're relatively slow, you're kind of clunky. You might as well stand your ground and make sure you can at least take down the Templar Assassin, which in this instance is your enemy's mid player. So you're trading a support for a mid, definitely worth it.
Yeah, I think the big thing as well is that it wasn't just that. He got rotations. They got 2 kills, not 1, and Silence actually got extra stolen intelligence. It's an all-round win. It's a good call. Good call.
Yeah, definitely. Often when I play a Witch Doctor, I end up in that kind of situation, and I just end up saying, nah, it's fight or nothing. In the meantime, Polybius,
that's because you ran into 5 heroes by
doing
yourself.
the most cheeky of D-wards, and it looks like Omni Knight can't do a damn thing about it.
Unfortunately, Omni Knight isn't a particularly great support because the nature of Omni Knight is to be bot lane.
Abandoned genes might be abandoned to a destined fate. 1 stun, 2 stun. Good night, sweet prince. Mr. J now is trying to make a hasty escape, and he'll make it, but his friend definitely left in the dust there.
That was a really nice stun by Wim as well. Value stun, getting both the CK as well as the Clinks. What are you laughing at, Wilson?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. So, 3 stuns coming. Sorry, a 3-second stun coming through from Mr. J. They want to get the counter kill onto the slaughter, but a massive slithering crush will keep him alive a moment longer. 1-7 remains the scoreline, but it looks like this man's not done. Timbersaw wants more, but he's going to bite off way more than he could possibly chew and feed away to Polybius. That's your analysis. He just bit off more than he can chew. There's not much else you can say there. If you're going to dive that deep, make sure you can survive it. At the very least, get out of it at a reasonable timing. And if they have stuns, which obviously this team does, you don't necessarily want to do that too often.
But mid lane, we will see engagement here as once again the best player in the game with the best hero, Wormy.
See, that's why I was laughing. The good double stun keeps Edrimovic a little bit alive for a moment longer, but here comes the rest of CKC. They want that kill so badly, and Sand King has been, I won't lie, instrumental in keeping people alive. One wonders when the kill will actually happen.
Well, they have a lot of cover stun as well, which is great, because, you know, it's not just the Burrow Strike. Oh, you got to back off, Ibrahimovic.
That is on the wrong side of this. Out comes the silence. Yet, there it is.
Oh my
Beautiful counter stun from Wormy. The coconut is there as well. And the ulti from Polybius is just tearing them a new one. Beautifully done, but it's not going to be enough as the ulti comes through from the Omni Knight, making them immune. Out comes the Maledictus. Might make sure that the Chaos Knight is going to go down. And it does! A nice counter ulti from the Wormy there. It finishes it all off. It's a 4-for-1 trade. That Witch Doctor making sure his patient's paid.
So there's so much that just
went wrong and right and wrong.
So
Go on.
Please take
Have
us.
fun.
Give us a nice view of the screen. Go back here. So you have the Timbersword Chakram is over here, right? And Silence is kind of wedged because there was CK coming in from down here, and then the rest of the team in this general area here. So he basically was forced to have to run this way around, right? But
Yeah.
CK actually uses Reality Rift, and remember the Chakram's here. He pulls him onto the safe side of the Chakram. So he just backed off, right? Then you got this everyone following in trying to get the kill. So you got a triple stun coming out from the Sand King. Then you had it's not like the same with
Coconut.
Paralyzing Cast, but the Coconut just came in and just hit nothing but net. Then they followed up anyways, got caught by another triple stun from the Sand King, and I think somebody got out, but then they got a double stun by the Slaughter. Like, that's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And as if that wasn't enough, an epicenter had already been triggered and following up, just to make sure that extra little bit of nuke damage was available. That Omni Knight did what he could to keep them alive with the Guardian Angel, making them immune to physical damage, especially against the Witch Doctor here. But unfortunately, Witch Doctor is just too good a hero. That's what I can surmise from that.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say maybe like the Sand King kind of,
Oh, I see.
you know, made it possible for him to do everything.
You know, at some point we're going to have to drop this hot potato.
Yeah, when I win.
Okay, we'll get there. Like last night, you won. Yeah. Okay, so
That's what
Slaughter
Sand
going
King was,
back to that bottom lane.
I just want to point out, last night, Witch
Yes.
Doctor was a viable hero Like you
Yes.
could pick him, but Sanking was too good
But you
to be
banned him.
picked.
But you banned him.
Yeah, but Sanking was too good to even be considered. That
It's
good.
because he's not really a support.
I mean, he's
more of a
sport right
core.
now, and completely king of sports, and he's going in hot.
He's going in hot. Is he going to catch anything? Doesn't look like it, and the damage is a little bit lacking at the moment. Silenced will be the Omni Knight in the front lines. Another silence comes through. Oh, what
Toss
a
him.
shame. The
Toss
avalanche
him.
was missed. The toss is there, though. It's going to throw in the silencer. Then comes the coconut. There's the maledict. And there's the happy dance from Polybius. He's going to start whacking out a lot of damage. Now has to back on off. Stumpy Dog really committing deep. Does pay for it, but walks away with a kill or an assist at the very least. Now the counter charge is there. Mr. J looking for a little bit of action. Wormy going around. He's going to go for that kill on the game child in the backlines while everybody else is dying in the front. Mr. J, he's going to pull in Ibrahimovic turns around and shows him what's for. It's a triple kill for the
I
silence.
wish I could double stun as well as these people do. It's just like...
Just ask your enemy to line up like this. They seem to always be lined up for that double or triple stun from Sand King's Burrow Strike.
It's not just Sanking though, it's Slardar is doing it as well. Tiny's avalanches haven't been great, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, he caught a nice one. He did
This
catch one.
toss was fantastic. You know, that's a moment where if you're running next to the Tiny, you should realize that
You are
bad
going
things-
to get thrown.
it's like this kill is too important.
Oh no, why not just run, Slardar? What were you hoping for? Nonetheless, he goes down to a solo Timbersaw. In goes Wormy with a stun. It's not going to keep him alive, that's for sure, as in comes the Templar Assassin, finishing him off. That's just a case of DPL biting off more than they could chew.
Yeah, that's really a case of a team that's steamrolling and they're going like, we're invincible, and they're going, oh wait,
Oh, wait,
we're
no,
not
not
actually
quite.
invincible.
Yeah.
But we will, and hopefully that just wakes them up a bit, because that's what they need. They just need a little bit of patience. It's easy when a game goes to the state that you literally just like, I'm going to A-click enemy heroes because we're getting a kill a minute and we're winning so well. But you actually only take into account your objectives as well. And objectives right now should be this bottom safe net tower that's doing absolutely nothing. Just give it a love tap and move on to the next important thing.
Now they're gearing up to do something here, the side of DPL. They want to get involved in TP's DPL. Slardar, he does manage to catch one as the Timber Chain manages to keep Timbersaw alive a little bit longer. Game Child, the first man down. Timbersaw now trying to make a hasty escape, but he's not exactly hasty as he gets caught in the trees. Nowhere left to go. Can't cut them down in time. And that is the end of him too. 2-0 is the exchange, and probably a tower to boot, since it's sitting there with 88 HP and undenied by the side of CKC. Maybe they'll deny it now.
Can I just say that I love how Divan DT it completely ignored Timbersaw's existence and just blinked over him.
Omni, where are you going? Don't charge in there. You're all alone. Now silenced. Tossed in, and that's the end of that. The silence comes out. It's only for these 2 or 3 heroes. Out comes the Witch Doctor Ultimate. It's good enough to finish off Polybius. Nicely done to you as Mr. J hits the deck. Next man down will be the Abandoned Genes by CKC, and he's taken down by that Slardar. Slardar doing his job, making sure the Corrosive Haze is on the right guy. And that leaves Timbersaw shaking in his pants behind his tier 2 tower. And Slardar honestly not giving a sweet damn.
Oh, they're just,
Comes
they're
the
just going,
silencer. Silencer's managing to get that silence on the Timbersaw. Timbersaw trying to make a hasty escape. Has nowhere left to go. The blink there from Slardar. Make sure that the stun lands and finishes it off with a few more right clicks and maybe the assistance from Wormy.
So, Wilson, do you remember what I said about Timbersaw going straight into the laning phase?
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said you need nuke damage?
Sorry, no, you got the wrong comment. Yes, I did say that, but I
Yes.
also said the most important thing is experience.
Yes.
And right now, when you look at the experience on these sides, it's quite significant the difference. I mean, you have Timbersaw is way down there. He's third from the bottom. So that's not where you want to be. That's bad. And unfortunately for him, it's really hard to catch up as Timbersaw. You know, once you're behind,
Well, you can flash farm.
yes, kinda. It costs quite a bit of mana to do, so it takes you out of the fight. It's not like a Shadow Fiend where you can just almost rinse, repeat, or over creep wave after creep wave. You use up your mana and then you're kind of having to go back to base. So it's not efficient. Is probably the best way to say it. But the big problem is that even then, the items don't give you things the experience does. So you can buy some Tombs of Knowledge, but right now he's going to have quite a hard time. And the fact that everyone's got their Prince daggers, well, anyways.
Pulled in will Mr. J is going for the kill there. Out comes a rather premature ultimate on the side of, nicely done, Wormy, getting it right in the middle of it all, getting all the damage he can out of the epicenter. Now trying to make a hasty escape though, as he wasn't enough to just kill them off because the rest of his friends decided to make a hasty retreat. The pinging is going wild. They want a piece of Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic has his silence, his global ultimate. It is able to get it off, but is he going to be able to get out? I don't think so. That may have been just a blown ultimate, and that's the end of him. If he was going to use it, he should have just TP'd.
That's quite a monstrous... I mean, what's the... Just taking a look at the fight recap. That's not... Oh, no, that was just for the one. So just for the one kill, they had a gold swing of 1,100 on the silencer. So... Yeah. That's...
Welcome back to this game. You are 9 for 23 at the 23-minute mark with a 12k net worth loss. But CKC is not just out of it just yet.
I mean, stranger things have happened. I'll give you that much. One of the big things for me, though, is that this is a problem. Wormy buying... And by the way, this is not a problem. I'm being dead serious. Wormy buying...
Coconut in the mid lane, it's decent. It's going to start whacking out a lot of damage. Mr. J tries to pull him in and then hesitates, throws himself out of the fight by going straight into his grave. Now Timbersaurus finds himself in a spot of trouble, has to mana boot up to try and get out of there. He's mana addicted. He will be going down. In the meantime, Divian DT is looking for a little bit more action here in the front lines. Gets the corrosive haze on the important people, but is unable to deal the damage to break the blink through that refraction.
So I was going to say, Wormy is actually quite close to a Blink Dagger.
Why fortify? Why fortify for a 16 HP tier 2 tower? Like, that's a problem. Sorry, carry on.
So Wormy is quite close to... I mean, actually, yeah, he's so close to getting it right. But they're he's being the designated ward person, and that really should be the Witch Doctor for various reasons, including the fact that Witch Doctor actually sat in lane. Whilst he was the one roaming around.
Yes, but we all know which Doctor's a better hero.
I was being serious that time also.
Okay,
Someone killed the sentry!
The tower will do it, I guess. Oh no, please don't deny tier 3.
Do it. Do it. Everyone's itching at the fingers. They're all hovering around just...
Just in case. Still, Ibrahimovic looking for a little bit more damage out of that Arcane Curse. Slowly ticking away some damage there. It is a very powerful spell, but you need to really spam it out quite consistently if you're going to get a lot of damage here. Now, both teams opting to sit quietly on the front lines here in the mid lane and just play the slow siege game. If they can just get one little right click up there, DPL, onto the tower, just toss a creep. Walk up to the creep wave and throw it at the cart. You can do it. Nope. Okay, blinks in, does the Divian... Oh no, Deviant Slaughter. In goes Stumpy Dog. The silence comes out. Stumpy Dog really should be fighting now. And now dropping low will be the Chaos Knight in the front lines. He does go down after the 3-second stun is thrown. Out comes the ultimate from the Omni Knight. A touch too late though. And nonetheless, in comes the Witch Doctor ulti. It unfortunately doesn't do any damage. Countered entirely by the Omni Knight Guardian Angel. But can he get out? They know where she is hidden. Polybius, this brave man, stands his ground. He will go down for it, but at the very least he might get that counter kill. And Stumpy Dog will facilitate that. Now he's going to go ham straight onto the Clinks. Clinks trying to edge his way out of there, limping. Doesn't quite manage to get on out. Omni Knight now the target of all the aggression and will be going down. That's a triple kill for the Tiny. And surely now that tier 3 tower will be going down.
Definitely. I actually was going to say that it's actually hard to push up against the Timbersaw. The Chakrams, well, I mean, regardless.
It has 20 HP, toss the damn creep.
Chakra makes it really, really hard to deal with. You're getting up the high ground, just literally sticking in dead center, and the creep's taking damage, and everything's slow, and life's hard. And we kind of saw that the high ground defense kind of worked to a degree, because you had the starter who ran in very, very deep. I mean, you know, all things considered, he was kind of in. He was here, you know. He was here. This spot. Wilson's not looking anyways.
Okay, I'm sorry. Apologies.
You've got to look at it, Wilson. There we go. He was here. So he went in quite deep, and I wouldn't say he was particularly punished. He got the stomp off, and he initiated the fight. and he was protected to some degree by Global Silence. But the Guardian Angel came out. It was like really nice, but at the same time, they basically couldn't fight beyond Guardian Angel. They don't really have the damage up. But you look at the TA, for example, she's sitting on just a Mithril Hammer. Obviously,
Still looking for a Dezo.
you have your Timbersaw, who is looking for Agnum Scepter, but he does have the level 2 chakrams, but it's not like it's bursty or anything like that per se at this stage of the game. You're kind of using it as like almost like a control device to stop people from getting to your towers. So, TLDR, they probably shouldn't have gone beyond Guardian Angel. There would have been a clean defense, and they would have been much better off for it.
Well,
And in fact, I think it would have ended like I think they got a kill and they could have walked away with it and been happy. I think they got 2 kills, in fact.
well, they're opting to push out this top lane. Now, why push out the top lane instead of the mid, my dear analyst?
Well, actually, I just want to point something out. That's something that a lot of Dota players don't know, is that if you take a top and mid lane with mega creeps, the creeps converge, and it's much easier to deal with from a form of pressure. So you actually, if possible, you actually want to take the top and bottom lanes. Makes it much harder for teams to deal with. Like, very frustrating. So maybe they're just looking at this like, we're confident enough we can get the job done anyways. So we'll go and look to take the tier 3 and win the fight, etc., etc. They do have the blink tag on the Sanking as well, so they may be feeling a little bit more itemized than they're hoping to.
With this much map control, why not opt to go for Rush?
Well, they are
Oh,
doing
what a
good now.
giant slithering crush there in the middle of the silence is good. That means Templar Assassin's going to go down without anything to say or do. Out comes another bash in the front lines from that slaughter. Down will go the Omni Knight in all likelihood. Nope, he's forced into using the Guardian Angel only basically on himself. And he will be going down anyway because it doesn't save you from the magical damage. Wormy now jumping on in, making sure that Abandoned Jeans has nowhere left to run. And it's just the Timbersaw remaining, silenced and now tossed on by a Witch Doctor.
Buybacks are real, though.
Yep, they are buying back at a rate of knots. The trick here will be not to bleed in one by one. The stun is there, but immediately she is protected by the Omni Knight Repel. In the meantime, oh, look at that damage from
He's dead,
Ibrahimovic.
by the way.
Oh, and it's done. It's a -4 as well. He's managed to take that talent, that silencer. And that means Midrax is down. Top Rack should be following as well, since I believe that was a dieback.
Yeah, there's definitely. Oh, we can take a quick peek. It's pretty much CK does not have, Timsaw does not have.
Wormy,
Yeah,
Wormy
none of
jumping
them.
on in. There are illusions there of the Chaos Knight. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. Chaos Knight is down. Stumpy Dog happy to turn this one around. Look at the damage output of that silencer. It's all done and dusted. He goes down yet again, the Omni Knight.
That man is
And
plus 74
unfortunately-
stolen intelligence.
Sorry?
Yes, plus 74 stolen intelligence.
Yes, that's a mountain of intelligence and therefore a mountain of damage on the Glaives of Wisdom. But the GG is good enough for them.
I guess that's 2-0.
Yep, DPL managed to walk away with this one 2-0. Very solid performance from them. They stayed, I would say, a little bit more disciplined than the side of CKC. CKC maybe running away with things. They ended up diving a little, maybe getting out of position. For example, that Timbersaw diving in the bottom lane.
So, in all fairness, I think that DPL is composed of stronger players, right? And I think that for one side you're going to learn something, and for another side, DPL is going to get some momentum out of it and see what they can do. Obviously, they've got some tough competition, and it'll be interesting to see how they perform against them. But I will really say that I was quite impressed, and we made. I wouldn't say light, but we just kind of, the positioning from CKC may have made it a bit easier. But what I like is the fact that you'll notice that all of these players were looking for the opportunities to make their spells count in a better way. There's an old man from South African Dota history, right? One of the first captains of a Dota team that I can think of that was of real relevance, right? And his name was Kai Bucker Squad, and he taught me 14, 15 years ago that a fisher is not just a fisher, and these guys are clearly understand that, and they're using their spells very effectively. So it will be interesting to see how this team performs against some of the stronger sides in the tournament.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's it from us. Do stay tuned. There are more games coming up. As you can see, the gamers are behind us. We are still here and having a lot of fun. If you are finding yourself in Bloemfontein, do come down. It is a lot of fun. We have wonderful food stalls outside. Come and try those legendary burgers. In the meantime, cheerio from myself and Wilson. Myself Wilson, and not Ann Wilson. Myself Wilson, and my dear.
Goodbye, Halberd.
Bye, Helvet.
KGL Genting 2018 champions. Go
It's never too late to admit when you're wrong. Turn a new leaf, see a new dawn. The time to decide has come and gone. Just give me a chance, we can carry on. I made my choice, the strings of your voice, they run through my head as I remember the day. Stay in this moment. Through the